Oh, you gotta read the minutes.
Open session public meetings are subject to being recorded. Your image and voice may be recorded.
Really?
What if we don't want it?
Yeah.
Good job so far.
What about my royalty check? I haven't seen it yet.
Okay.
All right. So, Louise,
Yes.
could you please, oh, I have to hand out the minutes for you. You got- Oh, you have your own?
I have one. Thanks, sir. You killed a couple extra trees.
Trees are big weeds.
From your yard.
What the heck? Today's the 19th? The 20th?
It's the 19th.
19th. All right.
All day.
Oh, booger.
Uh-oh.
Would you
Right in the
know?
front.
February 5th.
Oh.
Okay. You want me to read the minutes?
Could you please?
I would.
The date.
Date?
It's in the header. If you click on the header, it should say 19, not 5.
Yeah, those are the minutes from last week.
Oh, right.
Last meeting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
January 5th,
I was
2020.
gonna say, what are you doing?
I was thinking ahead.
And we were just like.
Yeah, okay, meeting opened at 7:09 with the reading of the notice that the meeting was being recorded. Attendees, John, Steve, Louise, Walter, Carol, Liz, Carolyn. Associate non-voting members, Holly and Keith and Robin. Minutes for January 15th were reviewed and amended. Carolyn moved to accept the minutes as amended. Steve seconded the motion, which passed unanimously. Treasurer's report. Funds available as of January 31st, 2020. Annual budget, $1,496.63. 2. Wetlands funds, $9,961.97. Open space land acquisition, $327,186.99. Mail. A. 1. Bill from KP Law in the amount of $36. Liz moved that we pay KP Law the amount of $36 for services through December 31st, 2019 in reference to the Wimber property acquisition. Steve seconded the motion, which passed unanimously. 2, request from Leanne Leahy for reimbursement in the amount of $7.76 for postage. Carolyn moved to pay Leanne the amount. Missed that one. Okay, of $7.76 reimbursement for postage. Liz seconded the motion, which passed unanimously. 3, the CC received a reminder of the MACC conference. 4, Mass DEP Department of Transportation notice of a public hearing to discuss proposed I-495 southbound to I-290 westbound ramp improvements. February 25th at 7 p.m. in Hudson. Liz and Robin volunteered to attend. 5, notice of conference for agricultural conservation on February 19, 2020 in Bolton. It was noted that Ashley Davies of SVT would be a speaker. Holly volunteered to attend the conference. 6, Kane Industrial Appeal Notice. They are appealing our negative determination of applicability.
I missed that one. No,
Yep.
they're appealing our
Denial, right? No, what if that's word?
our OOC decision.
It's not an
No.
OOC.
No.
No, but it's not, no, it is an OOC.
It is, we
Yeah.
went through this,
Yeah, yeah,
actually.
okay.
They're appealing our OOC decision.
Right, because it's not.
Because we denied the work in our
We should put
OOC.
that in, that we denied.
Yeah.
Denied.
Our denial in our OOC decision.
Right.
Okay, so wait a minute.
Yeah, that
Our
definitely needs to be
denial.
reworded.
Sorry about that. Missed that
Okay.
one.
Denial.
And Walter intends to attend the hearing.
In our OOC decision.
Okay, 4, wetlands issues, A, solar farm, 330 Randall Road. 1, Pat Garner has reported that conditions continue to be good. B, Gates Pond Brook. 2, oh, that should be a 1.
Yeah.
I missed the
Did I say
first
that? Where are we going?
one. Right.
4B, that should be a 1, not a 2.
Or it's just 9. The CC was notified.
wait a minute, from, oh wait, you got,
Yeah, that's right, we have.
oh wait, my copy.
4A1.
Your copy's
Yeah.
4B1.
Okay, this one.
No, there's problems here too. It went 1124.
Yeah,
It
hers
should
looks
go-
okay, though. The copy
Oh.
you have is,
Oh, okay.
I don't know, how- so,
Yeah,
you see that
Three.
too?
Yep.
Yeah, mine's, what I've got here is okay. It's 1, 2, 3, 4.
yeah, Louisa's copy looks okay, too.
And I think I emailed that out to everyone.
This is the most recent email, I thought. Oh, no, this is the one that you screwed up when you put the picture in.
How did it screw up?
It went 1124.
Sure.
Okay. All right, well, mine does
One
not
week,
go
wasn't
that
it?
way.
Yeah, neither does mine.
Okay,
not?
so B, Gates Pond Brook, I. The CC was notified by an abutter to property owned by Rob Horn at the end of Summer Road of his concerns about tree cutting that was taking place. The abutter questioned whether the tree cutting was taking place within 200 feet of the brook. Walter stated that no cutting was allowed within 200 feet since the brook comes under the River Protection Act. John will follow up to determine if the work is outside the 200-foot zone. C, diesel spill on Route 495, December 5th, 2019, notification. 5, appointments/hearings. A, 7:30, continuation of hearing for 35 Randall Road, DEP 107-0249. 1, Seth Donahoe of Ducharme Dillis Design Group located at 1092 Main Street, Bolton, Mass. 01740-978-779-6091, representing William Muldoon, owner of 35 Randall Road, presented the revised plans which address the changes requested by the CC. 2, John informed Seth that the DEP had commented on the submitted notice of intent. The DEP requested information for an apparent bank alteration. The members of the CC, based on site visits, concluded that the wetlands in question did not represent a body of water and that therefore the bank and stream crossing standards did not apply. B, 8 o'clock, notice of intent hearing, 180 River Road West, John Grenier, no DEP number yet. 1, Grenier engineer of Grenier Associates, 787 Hartford Turnpike, Shrewsbury, Mass. 01545, presented plans prepared for CASA Investments by John Grenier Associate, dated February 5th, 2020, project number G-542. The plans are for Glenbrook, a residential care community at 180 River Road West. Gates Pond Brook runs along the western edge of the property, and the Assabet River is directly to the south of the entrance to the property, and thus notice of intent is required. Abutter cards and proof of newspaper notice were submitted. 2, the project would consist of townhouses, a community center, a nearby staff building, which would provide on-site services. The public water supply will be located more than 200 feet from any wetlands. 3, the CC voiced several concerns with the project, including 1, the large amount of disturbance that would take place within 100 to 200 feet of the rivers. 2, possibility of water running across River Road and then into the Assabet River due to the pitch of the road entering the project. The applicant agreed to make changes to the entranceway to mitigate this risk. 3, trucks entering and exiting this site tracking dirt into River Road West. 4, location of a second entrance. 4, several of the 12 abutters present had concerns which included 1, plans for the water supply, 2, the quality of that water supply, 3, the impact on the abutting property on Summer Road. 5, the CC asked that Pat Garner review the stormwater flow plan for the CC. 6, the hearing was continued to a later date, but discussion was closed for tonight. The applicant will return with the requested changes. The revised plans will be reviewed by Pat Garner. C, 8:30, notice of intent hearing, 5 Randall Road, DEP number 107-0250. 1, Matt Restigini attended the CC meeting to present an NOI for the installation of a saltwater pool on his property. Abutters cards and newspaper notice were submitted. The pool installation will require some work close to the 25-foot no disturb boundary of the wetlands. The erosion control barrier will be within the 25-foot boundary. The wetlands had originally been flagged for a previous NOI DEP number 107-0240. The section of the wetlands close to this current project was reflagged on December 12, 2019. 2. Mark Arnold of Goddard Consulting, 291 Main Street, Northborough, Mass. 01532, and Joe Medeiros of Dexby Terra presented
It's
plans.
Dexby.
John Grenier Associates dated October 14, 2019.
Okay.
That's spelled right?
No, it's 2 words.
Dex.
Or it's hyphenated or something, but it's Dex by Terra.
Dex hyphen by? No, I think it's just 2 words. Like,
Oh, okay.
I think
it's Dex space by.
Right,
but
by.
it is
Between the
DEX.
decks.
I guess
Yeah.
it's Dex space by Terra.
I like
Okay.
Dexby.
Oh.
Dexby Terra.
It had a BY on it.
Get it?
It's Dex by Terra
Oh, okay.
is the name
Oh,
of the
not
company.
XP.
Yeah.
Right, okay. Thank you. Okay, so, the CC commented on how draining those saltwater pools to prepare for the winter would affect the wetlands. The CC stipulated that the water shall be pumped onto the front lawn, away from the wetlands to the northeast of the pool. 5, Walter moved to close the hearing, which was seconded by Liz. The vote was unanimous. Steve then moved to approve the submitted plans. Walter seconded the motion, which passed unanimously. 6, new business. A, Conservation website. John reported on the updates he had made to the Conservation Commission website with the assistance of Garth Coleman. B, CC volunteer. 1, Janet Campbell has volunteered to work on organizing the CC files
COLE.
as part of the work-off program. C, town meeting. 1, Walter stated we should try to submit a wetlands bylaw article to be voted on at the annual town meeting in May. Walter then moved to submit a placeholder for the article. Liz seconded the motion, which passed unanimously. Liz and Robin volunteered to work with Walter on preparing a bylaw article. D, tax lien foreclosure in Boylston. 1, CC received a notification of property in Boylston abutting the town of Berlin being taken for non-payment of taxes. The parcel is about 10.83 acres. The town of Berlin owns land that abuts this parcel in Boylston. It was agreed that no action on the part of the CC was indicated. C, Great Oak Farm sign. John was contacted by Dan Stimson of SVT that the owners of Great Oak Farm had decided to allow dogs on leashes on the trails of Great Oak Farm. Dan suggested that the wording of the sign at the entrance to the trails of Great Oak Farm be changed to reflect this. Walter will follow up on the issue. 7, all business. A, conflict of interest training. One more CC member needs to complete the training. B, Highland Commons wetlands issue. Carolyn reported that she made a site visit with the Hudson Conservation Agent and Jean,
Crouch.
what is it?
Her name is Pam Helnick,
Oh, okay.
and his
I
name
don't-
is Jean Crouch.
Oh, okay, I don't have that in here.
CROUCH.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, all right, see,
Yeah,
all
right there.
right.
She has a different version.
She's reading from a prior version, not the one that
Right,
Oh,
Caroline.
okay, it's on the minutes.
And are we putting Pamela's name in there?
Yeah.
Sure, so
It's right
Highland,
there.
She's already in there.
No,
She's
it's
not
in-
on
Yeah,
the
she's
one
not
I'm
on my
working on.
copy.
Gotcha.
so
Hudson.
Hudson Conservation Agent Pam Helnick.
yep.
Right, I didn't print the minutes that you had.
Helnik.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right, so.
And Jean
so
Crouch.
Jean,
Yep.
ready?
Yep.
Okay, representative for Highland Commons to view the issues that needed to be fixed. She reported that problems have been fixed and that a COC could be issued by the town of Hudson. 8, land acquisition, no action taken. 9, land management, A, Windler Trail Day. John reported that Wendell Trail Day was scheduled for Saturday, April 18, 2020, from 1 to 4 p.m. B, rezoning conservation land. 1, it was reported that the planning board was working on rezoning some Berlin conservation land as recreation/agriculture. This would give the land another layer of protection. Okay, 10, community outreach. A, SVT agricultural talk. Holly will attend and report to the CC. B, Earth Day townwide cleanup. Louise reported that it will be held on April 11th, 2020. 11, executive session. A, Liz moved that we go into executive session to discuss possible land acquisition without returning to the regular meeting. Walter seconded the motion. A roll call vote resulted in the following results. John, Steve, Walter, Liz, Louise, Carolyn, and Carol all voted aye. Carol then moved to adjourn the regular meeting. Carolyn seconded the motion, which passed unanimously. The meeting ended at 9:30. All 9 members left the room at this time. Okay,
And,
flipped it over.
very nice.
What time did the meeting end?
The directions.
What time did the meeting end? What time did the meeting end? 9:30.
9:30.
Yep.
There you go.
So then,
Okay. Like I said, a novel.
oh,
Yeah.
okay, so we need minutes for the executive meeting, right?
Good work, Louise.
Well, I had help from John, though. He
Right,
filled in some of the details.
Which don't get read.
No, they don't get read. But we do it.
No, move.
Was there anything else?
Second.
No, really, yeah.
What's that?
Oh, was that as amended?
Was there?
As amended,
wait,
yes.
and
You got
was
this.
that,
You
was
got
that
this.
a question?
Well,
So, yeah, I
We
got
can
it.
pass it and then I'll ask my question.
Okay,
Okay, wait a
so
minute.
any other
Wait a minute.
corrections that I
Who
missed?
moved?
I moved.
Okay.
Second.
Walter seconded.
I'll third it.
That's just, all right, so all discussion now is closed after that comment.
Okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
You did,
Keep getting me off.
So here's my question. That seems really fast that the DEP responded to Kane Industrial's appeal notice.
they have
They
to.
did,
They have to within a certain amount of
They have
days.
It's, how come it takes so long to get a
Because they don't have
DEP
to.
number?
Because they don't have to. Well, I mean, that's the statute requires, that just like we have to have a whole hearing within a certain time. So,
Just seems wicked fast.
they don't have a choice.
Right.
All right, treasurer's report.
through last meeting, wetlands, 10,829.47. Open space, 327,420.78.
Can you repeat that?
Yep, $327,420.78.
Okay.
Budget,
Wetland?
yep, that's wetland.
No, that's
that
open
was-
space.
That's
Open
open space.
space, I'm sorry, yes.
Oh, she
Right, that was
already
open
did.
Sure, I did the wetlands.
Wetland was the first one I did, 10,829.47. 47 cents.
Okay. And annual?
Budget is 1,452.93.
We spent some.
1,000?
452.93.
Well, yeah, we paid $36 for our lawyers.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, as of what date?
Budget, yeah.
What was last name? 2.5.
All right,
Okay.
great.
Did anything interesting tonight?
Yes, I'm just trying, I gotta get through the paperwork.
Okay.
There's I want to get the reimbursed for that back conference. So,
Just let it-
How much?
How much is it?
Give you a little,
it's 100 and,
$25.
I move that we
Wait,
pay
wait, wait,
could
wait,
do it
only
in
one?
half.
Okay.
So this is, because John's going to the convention.
the MACC
it's to get
conference.
educated in 2 weeks, or
that
week and a
possible?
half. I know, I'm just so knowledgeable as it is.
So what was the amount?
125.
Do you get mileage and meal?
They feed you.
They feed you, I don't worry about mileage.
That's, I have to figure out, I have to attach a top copy to that, so don't take it away.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Huzzah.
Me.
Oh, okay. I didn't get that.
Just
It
wait.
doesn't matter, just make somebody else. Mail. Okay, Mark 9, the dog training is going to be going on again over several dates this spring, so if there's dogs in there, they're doing rescue training.
Yep.
There is, somebody proposed that we have, consider an applicant proponent brief description form, so that if we do something, that somebody else has to do something.
What?
It's to notify the other boards if something is going on.
Oh, wait a minute. So this got approved?
No, they wanted feedback, that's all.
Oh, right, because I saw Lynn Ryan's feedback.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is, so Peter Hoffman proposed that this form become standard.
To promote the sharing of information among the town's boards and committees on new project proposals. The board took it under advisement, and I said I would, so that's, yeah, refer it to other local bodies for comment. And then Lynn Ryan didn't like it.
Right. She felt that any discussion outside of an open meeting was a bad idea and gave false impressions of giving advice. You know, it could be construed as giving advice or saying that you would be voting in one way or another, and that it's a
But that
bad
doesn't say
idea.
that on here.
I was just,
Right? Am I
No.
summarizing
Would be
incorrectly?
unfair and allow for error to have the town clerk determine what boards should receive the applicant proponent forms. I don't see this as part of.
Right, that's
well,
the other thing is
The
he
ZBD would be
he wanted
advised to provide
Eloise
guidance to a potential
disperse
petitioner
this.
regarding the ZBA, blah, blah, blah. If ultimately the ZBA is to hold a hearing on a petitioner's proposal, any advanced discourse beyond providing procedural information could be considered prejudicial. This form could be misconstrued as an application for a permit and interfere with the time constraints on Chapter 40A, blah, blah, blah. She didn't like it.
Okay, I actually like the idea of the other boards know what we're doing, and hopefully we know what they're doing.
Okay.
but
But why
Purpose.
wouldn't, why should it have to go through the town clerk?
It's true.
it doesn't. It's supposed to go to the board or committee, but the town clerk, if they don't know who is supposed to get it.
Oh, if uncertain.
Right. I mean, we've been asking a couple times, we always ask, oh, is the,
Right, ZBA's always notified us when they're having a
Yeah.
hearing that they think,
it'd be nice if the Board of Health is working on something and that we might have jurisdiction over it, they don't care, right?
Actually, the
We've run
ZBA
into
is
that.
holding a meeting,
But this is, I'm sorry.
we can put that,
It basically, the proposal is just so we know what else is going on.
right.
I don't particularly have an issue with it, but
But,
you know,
so he's asking that if somebody's proposing a project of some sort, like
Correct.
how big or how small? I mean, I
right, is it everything?
Right, I don't know.
What
Yeah,
are
it
the
doesn't seem unclear
parameters
to me.
in which we're supposed to notify someone? Right. So maybe
Yeah,
that's our
Who's gonna police
feedback.
this to make sure it gets done by whoever's submitting a project, you know? I mean, I think it's, I mean, I don't think it's a bad idea, but I don't see how it's going to be
all right. So for the
controlled.
all right.
'cause right now, is this in duplication of what we've been asking the building inspector to do?
Yeah, that's kind of my feeling, is we've already tried to develop something like this, and
We did do something a couple of years ago with the building inspector. you know.
Right,
Yeah,
so
so
if he
what
knows,
happened to that?
right, so he knows
Has that
everybody.
worked out well, or
Well,
did not get?
because that's, the building inspector, we get notified when someone has filed for a permit. But I think this is pre
ahead of
that,
Yeah,
so that people can go to other people's meetings and,
Yeah.
or have.
which makes sense.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Assuming that's all it's used for, and like, I mean, she does have a good point that with the open meeting laws,
Right.
but
but it would've been nice if we knew down as the center of town, when we put that building up, you know, what's the end of that dirt road there where Bartlett's used to be,
Oh, Oak Street?
Oak Street. If we were notified of that, we would've said, wait a minute here, there's a
Well,
septic system here and there's
Kinda
wetlands there.
everybody
Right.
felt that way about that particular project.
Yeah.
Afterwards, though.
So I'll
We
get,
were notified-
Correct.
We wouldn't, yeah, but if we had this form in the beginning,
From who?
So I
Building
will,
inspector.
I will give the feedback that, that form sounds fine to us.
I'm okay with it.
Is everybody in agreement with that? Okay, good.
Do you want to ask what the parameters are? Is
Maybe.
it every project?
I don't mind, you have to fill it out.
I'm not filling it
Write
out.
that down and give
Hey,
it.
gee, like-
Other mail,
Oh, can I just comment on that? Have people noticed that people are posting on Berlin Neighbors Connect the newspaper announcements of things going on and
Yeah, I
people
saw that for the
commenting
one
on
on
it?
River Road.
That's okay, that's public knowledge.
No, I know, I think it's good. Well, that's why we had 12 people here at the last meeting, because.
They're not
people-
reading
No, that
newspaper.
wasn't our hearing, that was the ZBA hearing. We had 12 people because they got a
But
butter.
somebody, oh, okay, but people
Right, that
knew
knew,
about it because.
no, they didn't know about our hearing, that's what I'm saying. They knew about the ZBA hearing.
Right, but they must have found out that we were having a hearing also, because otherwise they,
Well, they
It's
got
on our
mailed
agenda.
the butter lists.
right, true.
all right, kids, we have a lot to do.
I still have a question on that. Who started that, and how does the town administrator? I thought a town administrator was gonna be kind of a focal point for.
Right, so Margaret did send it out.
Oh, she sent it out.
She's the one who sent it, yeah.
Okay, that's great.
A couple of quick notices. The zoning board approved, or somebody approved, the Board of Appeals approved those changes in the condominiums in Sawyer Hill be allowed. And also, they want somebody, over by the mall, the Solon Pond Mall, the following is marijuana establishments or licensed marijuana-related businesses may be allowed at this location, subject to a special permit by permit granting authority and also subject to site plan review. So up behind DCU, somebody wants to put a marijuana cultivator or manufacturing place. They all get free samples.
TCU?
That's it? Can I say this?
Yeah. I need that.
John, I
What's
didn't
that?
get that.
Banner doors.
If that's under me.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not that big a deal.
We knew something was going on with that property.
Up to the river.
What's that? What farm is it?
They came in and got their, what'd they get, a COC? Or
I don't remember the details.
the piece of land behind DCU. They came in about a year ago, I think looking for a
Maybe on
COC.
duty soon.
For a reason, obviously.
For a reason, yeah.
All right, I want to move on to signing OCs, please. So this is the one for Matt Restaghini and his swimming pool, which we approved. And under the C attached, I can't believe how much paper they put in these things.
Yeah.
Discharge of swimming pool water is allowed provided the water stand for 1 week prior to draining or tested for chlorine levels with a pool test kit prior to draining, and that the water be pumped uphill to the front lawn outside the 100-foot wetland buffer.
You're going way too fast. I'm just
reiterating.
I'm still on this. So,
I know, but
because that is right on the banks of the Assabet.
right, nothing we can do about it right now.
Okay, what's this?
This is Restaghini's pool.
Okay.
While we're doing that, I'll just say one quick thing. I did meet with Jake Brainville on that land, from the minutes, the tax land, Boylston land.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he already knows about it. Actually, he's looked at it before, but I gave him a heads up, so he's gonna go and take a look at it and talk to the town.
Of Boylston.
Yeah, because he lives, his land is in Boston.
His land, he owns the old Gold's Farm. He bought
Okay.
that.
So he might buy
There's a
that
parcel.
also?
Yeah, he's gonna try to go to town. Oh, yeah. right.
It's totally landlocked, so they can't build on it.
Yeah.
Who owns it now?
Some Nikowitz or something like.
Neitzel?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I had,
Yeah,
Yeah,
Neitzel,
except they
Neitzel,
use
what it was,
their
yeah.
actual name.
Neitzel is all we ever
yeah.
knew him of.
Right, yeah.
What a name.
The other half of that, I just. Hopefully it doesn't get all flopped around.
So how many copies? We need one for
One
Matt.
for our file, Matt gets the original,
And, but do I send one to
and
Dillis?
then
They apply for
No.
determination.
Just so Matt,
Matt, one,
DEP, us,
and that's it.
Margaret.
It wasn't a determination.
Oh, does Margaret get a copy now?
So somebody in town should get a copy. I usually give one to Margaret and also the zoning.
That's what we did.
Right, they're appealed.
So it's 5 copies, right?
Shall we give one to the building inspector also?
Cross that out.
Oh, yeah, all right. So 6 copies.
They're not appealing that.
Okay.
And you can make them two-sided if you want.
How many?
Oh, yeah, okay, that makes more sense.
Wait, let's count that again. So the original goes to Matt, we get one, DEP gets one, Margaret gets one, zoning board gets one, and then
Building inspector.
buildings, but that's just 5.
Right. Yeah, because we asked if they not issue a building permit until we
Thank you.
sign off.
This one is for 35 Randall for the fixing the wetlands crossing mess. Now, if you remember the discussion from last meeting, the DEP had made comments about need to have, need bank and river crossing standards. We had a discussion that this wetlands doesn't really apply to that. And so I made mention of that in the minutes, but, what I wrote on the OOC is the following. After deliberation and based on our site visits, the commission determined that the wetlands in question do not contain a water body and that the standards regarding banks and stream crossings do not apply. I use that language based on my reading at the MACC handbook about where they would apply, and yet it often refers back to a water body. And, and then they also, but, then they reference some other publication. You can go down a long rabbit hole with this stuff.
With any of it, yeah.
So I'm just hoping that the DEP will just say fine.
Right.
I bet they will.
I hope so. Because if they don't,
I think they will.
yeah, okay.
Right, well, if they don't, so did you attach any additional orders?
Oh, yeah, just the standard stuff.
Okay.
I need some of those little things where you sign.
Go buy some.
Yeah, those little sticky things?
Yeah,
Whatever you want.
for credentials committee, they always do that for us, Date of issuance, oh, sugar. Could you see if if the date and number of signers is on those things?
Yeah.
Okay.
We can always hand fill them in if they're
Oh,
not
okay.
John, you
on every
have,
copy.
do you have OOC 107-0250? And
That's Festagini.
last week, his last meeting, it was 35 Randall Road was
249.
0249.
This is 0249.
Yeah, Randall, I went out of order, because I grabbed the first thing. So,
Festagini is 250.
Okay, so B should be 249.
yeah, I didn't go AB, I went BA. My apologies. Sorry about that, Louise.
Oh, okay. All right, I knew there was a 50. Okay.
Poor Liz is gonna come back, sit
Go
down,
back, yeah.
sign something, and go back.
I know. And we really should have waited for
Put
her
in
to
for
come
mileage.
back.
Excuse me. No, she's already voted.
Yeah, that's true. So we can so you have one more?
I got one more.
So then she can go back and make copies of both of them.
Yeah, all right.
So this way she can put in for more mileage.
So I'll leave this here on her.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this one is an oops on my part.
You do that?
How did you find out it was an oops?
Well, it's not really an oops, because no one cares. But remember a year ago, I did that NOI for trail maintenance?
Yeah.
The DP's slow to generate numbers.
Yeah.
Well, it got dropped off the table. So when I was
So
going
we
over...
never got a number?
we finally got a number.
Number,
Oh,
242.
okay.
Yeah.
We finally got a number, but we never signed the OC.
So you didn't have a permit to put that bridge across that wetland up on Mount Pisgah, which I walked over today for the first time.
Oh, that would mean the Boy Scout
The Boy
thing?
Scout thing,
Oh, that's
yeah.
not over the river. It's just over some
No, but
swamps.
it's right through a wetland.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
It's a nice bridge, though.
Yeah, that wide enough for a horse?
No.
No.
Anyway, not only that, but the DP had a buttload of oops, I shouldn't say that.
Comments?
Of comments. So I actually had to pare down the attachment quite a bit.
They actually read it and commented on it?
Oh, yeah, like a lot of comments. So,
Like, what kind of? How
Like-
dare you?
no,
This is for a
no.
trail. The trail work.
Yeah, no, they,
Well, it's just an ongoing, so that we can do anything, basically.
right. Essentially, they said that they wanted section 2 and 3 completely omitted. And said that those required new NOIs.
Okay.
Section,
But this is a year ago. I had this big document, and they wanted section 2 and 3 omitted. These are here, right? Okay. And then also wanted the following into section 1, which is creating or rerouting a trail within the buffer zone. So anyway, I just did what they said, and this is all just about trail maintenance. It's the same thing, so I figured it'd be fine.
You know, I reviewed a lot of local wetlands bylaws on looking at this one, and one of the exemptions is trails. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just exempted.
right.
I did this because at a MAC conference a while ago, they said you should do this, so I did it.
Sorry you didn't.
Yeah, I know.
I wish you hadn't. Yep. Yep. You open a can of worms.
But it's fine. It's fine.
So now take the ones that Liz just brought back and check the date and the number of,
This is for the, what's this for the bylaw?
this is for the
Trails.
Trails, yeah, trail things, yeah. That's what I meant.
same thing.
Thinking the same thing, wrong label.
Just not saying it, right?
If I said it right, they should know what I was talking about. Can't have that.
That's true.
Ah, the power of confusion.
That's how we run this country.
So are we doing 107-0247 now?
The old,
0242.
It's the one that's going around, yeah.
Oh, okay.
You don't have much else to do, huh? You don't have much else.
I don't, just sit here and drink my tea. Watch
No.
while you sign away.
Nobody's asking her about
I
homework,
know.
nobody's.
Mom, she hit me. Where's the rest of
Right
this?
here, right here.
Did we ever make Keith an associate? I know
No.
Louise keeps putting it in the minutes as a
He didn't want to be.
I know, that's what I
I
thought,
know.
so why do we put him on there?
Well, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I know, it's fine. Louise puts them on there.
Okay.
It
What's the
does
list?
matter.
Who?
Copies of
Keith.
both sets
Keith.
of these.
Yeah. You put
Keith is not
on
an
associate, he is not an associate.
5 and 5?
5 and 5 on
What?
those
In
as
your
well?
minutes, you keep putting Keith on.
No, the old
Associate
one
member, he's
only
not an
needs 3.
associate member.
I'll have
Never
to-
So that's
made him an associate.
242.
List then.
He
You
said he
didn't
didn't want to be.
Just 3.
Just 3.
All right.
5.
He just wants to help out.
Right.
You can say it doesn't matter, it does in my world, okay?
Really?
Yes.
Okay, I'll write him a letter.
No, you don't have to write him a letter, I just don't want him on minutes anymore.
I have letterhead.
Ooh, Conservation Commission?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a whole box of it in the closet.
No, I have some in my house now.
Ooh,
Private
that I
stash.
still do too.
He's taking this to heart. Nice job.
Did you get the envelopes as well?
Yeah.
All right, good. Business cards?
Uh,
T-shirt?
No, Tisha, you have children, right?
Yes.
How old are they?
14 and 16.
Oh.
Are they small?
Are they fun?
What's that?
Is it all smalls that are left in there?
There's some small T-shirts in there.
Oh,
That say
they're
Berlin
small.
Conservations.
Yeah, no, they're, well, my son's bigger than me. Avery's almost as tall as me.
Ristigini, this is Trail.
So that, didn't you do Restigini first?
Oh, right.
See? Keep me around for a reason.
What is that?
You're on thin ice, though, so don't get cocky.
Don't worry.
No, I need the opposite. This needs to be a condition of your probation. No, this is actually Randall Road.
Okay,
That's Ristigini.
okay, just,
And this is Ristigini. Not that one.
that actually matters.
Yeah. All right, so, agenda, done, hearings held. Oh, two quick things before we get on to the the main event. We were asked, to identify a representative from the Conservation Committee to the
CPA committee.
CPA Committee. I nominate you.
I always assumed it would be me.
I'll second it.
You know what happens when you assume?
Any further discussion?
No?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Me.
Okay, what item are we on now?
We are on 6-3.
Oh, okay, we jumped.
Yes.
Community Preservation Act?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Representative is going to be Carol.
I know.
We just go all over the place.
I know.
Yes.
That didn't run here.
It's on the back of.
It's
back-
two-sided.
Oh,
Trying to save the big weeds. All right, next. They want us to sign something else. Everybody has to pretend like they've read this and sign it.
Oh, yeah? It's on paper.
Is this what we've already signed?
Right, so this, we were talking about this at the beginning of the meeting. Liz had a copy.
Oh, you guys all got a copy?
Well, this came emailed, but Liz, I don't really remember this, but Liz remembers that we already signed this.
I don't remember
She
signing
came
this.
in another meeting with this for us to sign.
I don't remember signing this.
Oh,
You're
I
off
do.
the
I'll
hook.
sign it
Yeah,
again.
I didn't remember signing it either.
I remember her coming in and having us sign something, but I don't remember it being this.
So you have to sign it?
I do.
It
She
was,
doesn't have
what
to.
was that?
Oh, okay.
That was,
All right, I already signed.
and we had
I
some
think
questions
I
about
think I
it.
signed the back
Yeah, I
page
know.
is what was.
Right.
We
Yeah.
said no,
Okay, so I
and
signed
then
the back
she
page
was
and
able to
gave it to
answer
Liz. I
our
didn't
questions, and
sign
we
it.
said
I didn't have a
yes.
copy of the
Barbara
front
was?
page. It was next to
Yeah,
it.
that was, a couple of weeks ago was that thing on the climate, the grant for,
Yeah.
minutes.
Yeah.
There was that thing, and we got some clarification on it, and they said it was fine to do that. But
Thanks,
this was
Walter.
just, I think, just last meeting. God, I don't even remember things. I don't remember this. Maybe I make it up. Maybe I trimmed it.
Maybe you and
Yes.
Liz.
4G,
Board,
appeal of OT7.
yes, we did.
And we
You're
speak
People I know,
on
people,
Randall
no,
Road.
no,
Yes.
just people I know instead of people I don't know. Good with makeup.
I will get back to you.
Oh,
I'm trying to compress all this paperwork as much as
Yeah,
possible.
I found it interesting, and I'm signing under duress.
You don't have
It
to sign
basically says, here's the code of conduct, right, and the ethics and all of that, which is all good. And then the piece of paper that you actually sign says, but we can change anything in this document at any time with no notice.
Cross it out.
Yeah,
It's
you
the
don't-
entire thing. It's almost what the
Did
heck.
you sign
Is
it?
that a state
well, I just signed the back
requirement?
sheet.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do.
It's
This is,
probably from the
It's
lawyers,
just to
yeah.
hold something against you, that's what it's for.
I need it.
I don't know where we should put
You
it.
sign something, you know.
Right, it's
I just
really
think
all
she was
just,
out of the
No,
meeting.
no, I
It is-
signed the sheet.
all of the body
Liz
of it
passed the
is
sheets out
stuff
when I
that's
first
already
came
law.
in, and I gave it back
like
to
what
her.
you just did in the conflict of
No, this is
interest
yours.
ethics test and everything. It's just saying all of this stuff, basically, don't be a jerk.
She didn't give me one.
And don't take gifts.
She just handed me this sheet.
But then the last piece of paper is the one I have the problem
Get
with.
on your legs, for Christ's sake. Get them over your own side.
All right. Well, you guys are contemplating all
What did
that.
you do with
Say that where it says it
that
can
I
change?
signed, like,
Oh, the back page.
I slid it under Margaret's name.
Oh, because John is now passing these out.
It's the same thing, we all signed them.
When?
Yeah, we already signed
It was
this.
last meeting, wasn't it, or was it the?
Yeah, I would think I'm 2 meetings ahead of you.
But this was just mailed out like within the
No,
last week?
it was remailed.
It was remailed?
Yeah. So, it says be ethical.
Well, I'll just sign this one again.
Sorry about that, Liz.
It's okay.
I don't remember
I
signing.
thought it was 100.
Right.
Yeah.
That's wrong.
That's,
You're right.
Well, since you already signed it once, maybe you don't have to sign it again.
That's right. Oh, I always amend these things, but then I don't like it.
well, sure.
Don't waste your time.
No,
Don't
just
sign it.
don't
Yeah.
sign it.
Sign it with,
Done.
Okay, there.
I remember Liz, so I'm not signing this one because I know you already
Yeah.
sent mine in.
She was very grateful.
Yeah?
She's like, oh, you guys are, gave her all of ours that were there.
Was it the meeting that I missed
It
in
might have
February,
been.
in January? Because I
Could have been.
truly don't remember that.
I just
I
handed
don't
out the
remember. I
last
was
sheet.
here.
And,
I must have just signed it and Liz didn't register it. Anyway, let me finish up with wetlands. It's very brief. So the appeal hearing is going to occur on-site at the, off the Bigelow Road on February 24th, 2020 at 1 PM. Walter has agreed to be there. And if anybody else is interested, they can join Walter. I gave Walter copies of the stuff from the meeting.
I'm gonna try to
From the
join
hearing.
you, Walter.
It's one thing that I'd actually like to go to, but I can't.
Right,
so,
interested and able are
Yeah.
two things.
Let me ask you this, who looked at that? Did?
Way back when?
Yeah.
You were
So the
there.
ANRAD
You looked
was
at it.
done, yeah.
Okay.
Brian Waterman flagged it.
Yeah.
Dave and I went out and checked the flags.
Okay,
And then, so the ANRAD was
Yeah.
fine. We were fine with the ANRAD. What we weren't fine with was when they brought the plans in, they
wanna
wanted to,
cross.
they want to cross the
Okay.
stream.
yep.
This is what, Kane? Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Kane, oh, yeah. Yeah, they want to, put a bridge over it and
Yeah.
dig it all up. They have to dig it up because they have to,
Yeah,
there's a well, there's sewage,
yeah.
there's all the stuff they got to dig up the wetlands.
And wires through a pole.
Yeah, wires.
Pipe.
Right, yeah, they want to go under the stream
Yeah.
with conduit
Okay.
and,
That's
That's
not
what's in
no-
that box, so I'll read it again.
They're not knowing what they're gonna do with the property.
And just,
That's what else is coming down the pipe.
Question though, you're not allowed to have a parking lot in front of a building.
that,
But how's the hotel get away with that?
you are, why can't you have a parking lot in
I
front
thought
of?
that was.
that's
one-
what they said as to
Right.
what, when we asked them if they could
They did.
move the parking lot.
That was
so
not what I
that the-
heard.
That's what I heard.
Oh, that's what I heard.
That's not what I heard.
What did you
Yes,
hear?
they did say that.
Yes, and they said, that when I went to the Board of Selection meeting, they repeated the same thing.
Right. They said it 2 or 3 times, that they could not put a parking lot in front of the building.
They couldn't fit it, they didn't have enough land.
They
No,
said it was
a
against the
Berlin
bylaws.
Against the bylaw, but I'm saying, wait, but the hotel just put a parking lot in front of the building.
What bylaw is that?
I have no idea.
The
There is one.
parking
It's a
lot bylaw?
You can't put your parking in front of the buildings has to be out of sight of the road, so you don't drive down the street and you see
Have all
malls
parking
and
lots.
everything, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But hotels must be
Exempted?
exempt from.
Well, it was
Because the
probably
day-
part of the
day-
overlay
I was gonna
district.
say, because the daycare center has it too.
Right.
Use the parking for Alice Adventures.
The last
In front, but not at the street, yeah.
wetlands thing, the solar farm, Randall Road, Pat Garner said it looks good.
Okay, and by the way, that's 330 Randall Road.
Thank you.
Yeah, you should sign this, 330 Randall Road.
Excellent.
What is, the solar farm?
It's a slowed down construction area ahead.
Okay, so next up is the wetland bylaw. Walter, I'm going to turn it over to you with one question.
Yeah.
So, I have some printouts of pretty much everything that's been sent around, plus some other stuff. Does anyone else have a printout with them?
I have the printout
I
of
do
what
not.
Walter sent, and I
Which
brought,
one, though?
The one he sent today.
There's 3 of them.
There's 3 of them.
I do not have.
Well, the only one he added me on the list to.
So, Walter, you can have Liz make some copies. Do you want, which copy do you want?
Well, I mean, I sent one yesterday.
This is the one I
Which is
have.
what Carolyn's talking about, and that kind of took the place of the others. I just made a slight change in it. So the other one, the other 3, first one was just an introduction of explaining how I put this all together.
So have her make copies of this one?
And the,
You and I can.
if nobody else has it, I send it around.
Yeah.
No, but I didn't bring
I
a
didn't get
printed
chance to
copy.
look at
Oh, I
it
have
last
the-
day or so.
Got it here.
Those are the originals.
I can
You gotta
read
read
online. I can read her
Yeah,
online.
you-
This is not the one that
You've
we're
got
going to
it.
be discussing, but I would like a copy of
So
the one we're
1,
discussing.
the one
2,
you
3,
sent
4
today.
copies.
Right, that's the one I have.
That's what I have.
That's what we're going to be discussing.
Okay, the one with all the green highlights.
Yeah.
Okay, so
No,
Liz,
not that one.
so then I don't need
Okay,
it,
listen.
right.
The one with all the highlights is the law, with just highlights in it that, of the points we want to talk about. And the green is my additions, which everybody can totally delete if you want. They're merely explanations more than anything else.
Well, you sent this around most
Let
recently.
me see that.
Saying that that was the final copy.
I don't think that, I didn't say, yeah. The final copy is what we're putting together tonight.
Right, but that was the one, but those 2 documents are essentially the
This was the
same.
last copy that we had at the last town meeting where we passed, and then they voted again and turned it down. That's.
That wasn't at the
law.
last town meeting.
No,
Okay, I'm making
3
sure.
town meetings
Okay.
ago or something, okay? So,
It was like 12
that's that.
years
I
ago,
took
but-
that and put it aside to keep it as a, the baseline, and then just kept looking at it and going through it and trying to see what's in here and clarify it and make it easier to understand. And probably none of you
get that
need
yesterday.
this,
I got one
but I do. I've got to go through
That's what I'm
things
saying.
and
Yeah. I didn't
key
get
them
that
in
at all.
and so I can remember the main
So
points.
this one came today.
All right, so this is not what you're going to put in the town report.
Did
is
he
what we're
leave
gonna
you off that
discuss.
one?
Yeah, I don't
We're
have,
going
I
to
don't have
discuss
today's.
that tonight.
I got
And whatever
one
comes out of
yesterday
the
was
discussion, we'll put in the town report.
green stuff.
Okay, that's a working paper. This is a working paper.
4 copies of this?
I left my phone in the car.
Is that
No,
the
let me show you. Didn't lose it.
marked up one? I'll make marked up, copies of the marked up one.
Can we use
So
the
that we
ones
can
that
see
the-
what he's
This
highlighting.
is mine.
Yeah,
this is
mine,
that.
it's, so make that one with the green. Mine just didn't print the green.
What?
Okay.
Oh, because
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't
Can't
have.
let it out of my hand.
I might be able
Yeah.
to make it going.
What's-
I wonder if I'm that good.
I don't know if it has colored ink. It doesn't
So
really-
actually, it did come
Oh,
yesterday.
That's not part of it.
I just, so last night at 7 o'clock, at
Yes.
6,
Right, and the,
oh,
Let me see what I can do. How many?
I could use one too.
I'm set. Is
I'm
yours
sorry.
covered?
I'll read the
no,
computer
mine's
one.
a different one. Oh, this
That
is-
was the one conversation with
Came right on your
Dave,
screen.
of
Yeah.
which I was
Watch that.
left up the beginning,
Right?
but not
There
the
we go,
last
yeah.
That one says please.
zoom it in on
attach
camera.
items.
to Dave,
Making sure I'm working on it.
and that's the one I
Commission
didn't
stuff.
get.
Yeah, let's see, yeah, let's
That
see
one.
what-
shopping.
Let's see what site you're on. I can't see.
Oh, yours doesn't have the green, that's fascinating, because it has all the red. Yeah.
I
it
saw the
looks
comment
like-
that Dave Burke made.
I put a request in,
on
you
that.
gotta review and listen to every tape that you make. You get to listen to it twice.
So. What?
He did, this isn't the old one, this is the new one.
Right, so when you talk about the one that was passed and then repealed, that was not our last attempt.
Oh, that was a long time ago.
That was like 10, 12 years ago.
Oh, yeah, that's right, that's what
So
God
the
had
one,
reflected. Okay,
so, no,
wait a
our
minute,
last,
there's a-
wait, I'm just making sure that we're, and what is here
Yeah,
is not what we put on the warrant in 2015. It's much more palatable, as far as I'm concerned, than what we put on the warrant the last time. which is why I brought this, because it's the exact copy of what we brought.
Well, I had that book, and I looked through it, and I just, I didn't go word for word, but I thought it was virtually the same.
It's just
Identical.
written in a much, this just came across much more, in a much more much more restrictive and much more penalizing.
Wish I brought my book, because I marked it up, and I didn't see, well, anyway. John, what is the date? When do you have to have this into next Tuesday?
Monday.
Monday, okay. Because Dave, you can't leave a message with him because he doesn't, his phone book is full. So I sent him emails, he got back to me on the emails, and the last one I sent him, I invited him to show up or let me know when he wanted to meet this afternoon, but he hadn't gotten back to me
He
yet.
often has hearings at night
Yep.
for clients. But we can try to set up a time that he can sit with us and have a special meeting. Because I do think it would go a long way if he would speak in favor of it at town meeting. Not that we're gonna customize it for him, but at least have a conversation with him ahead of time. To address his concerns and
Was he the one who
either-
spoke against it the last time?
No.
No.
He did
Yes.
get up and, he's not the one.
Okay.
He
He
spoke
is a
against
one.
it. He
Okay.
spoke against it, yeah.
He spoke against some specific things in here. He did not speak against the concept of a bylaw.
Okay.
He thought the particular one was onerous.
I took Pat Garner and I took a hike up there today and walked around. I picked his brain all through it, and he thinks it's, we're going in the right direction, but we really ought to move ahead. I copied him on this.
So the spreadsheet that you had sent, you said you got that from MACC?
Yeah, he did too.
Yep. What was it, like 209 communities?
He has the number.
Right, have a bylaw out of how many cities and towns?
It's like roughly 60%.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that would be something worthy of pointing out.
Thank you.
Ready?
Yeah. We're ready.
Well, all right. First of all, has anybody read this
I've
No.
read it.
since I sent it out?
I scanned it.
I've read it.
I'm not sure which one I read.
Well, I sent it out a week ago. Again, this is just the latest copy. I think there's one or two things that I just put in there for suggestions. But the bylaw basically has what I got out of the one that we introduced that they pulled off, that I think is virtually the same as what's in that book. In principle, we had three main things listed, four main things listed. Let me take that back. Three main things listed. One was the vernal pool, whether it's registered with Fish and Wildlife or not. The other one was a definition of river, which we decided was anything on the topo maps, and we added including intermittent streams. The other one we added,
Print on my.
we had a 25-foot, but as I look around and see what's going on in other towns, I think we should go to 35-foot. 25 feet is 8 steps. It's peanuts. I think a 35-foot, that's what I'm suggesting in here. And then the last one is isolated wetlands would also be included as a wetland. And then I threw in this 100-foot septic tank setback, which the Board of Health has, and they don't always enforce it. So that's what I had. So you go through,
Yeah, we need to go through every line.
well, the first one, again, I highlighted the major points, and then green ones are suggested. So go down line 1, 2, 3, Berlin Wetlands bylaws, fine, purpose and authority is the same, purpose.
No, Walter, we really need to go over this.
Did you-
I've already read it more than once, but we need to go over
All
it.
right, see if the town will vote to amend the general bylaws of the town of Berlin by adding a new article 20.
No, XX,
We don't know what it is.
because we don't have a number.
Excuse me, to the Berlin Wetlands Protection Bylaw as follows, or take any action relative thereto. Berlin Wetlands Bylaw, Section 1, Purpose and Authority. The purpose of this bylaw is to conserve and protect wetland resource areas, including but not limited to, and the green is what I put in there. You can vote to delete if you want. We should go probably a page at a time and
Well, slow down.
discuss it or whatever, but conserve and protect wetland resource areas included but not limited to the wetlands, and this is standard from the state law and every bylaw. Wetlands, water resources, land subject to flooding, land adjoining such protected wetland resource areas in the town of Berlin by controlling activities deemed by the Berlin Conservation Commission likely to have a significant, a cumulative significant effect upon wetland resource area values, including but not limited to the following 15 values.
Right.
And so they're all listed out there. And
Can I ask why you crossed out water pollution?
Well, I was I looked at this and I thought, something's redundant here, and then some things, people, it look like we just threw it together without really thinking.
But
So,
water
the water
pollution
pollution
is-
control is the same as water quality, as far as I'm concerned, the one just before it.
Right.
So this one, this is the wording of this one, but just in a paragraph form. So, I mean, water pollution control should be included.
Right,
Okay.
because that's one of the 7 principles of the Wetlands Protection Act.
Okay, that's what we're here for.
Yeah.
Fisheries, shell fisheries, why would we have that in there?
Right. We need to delete shell fisheries.
Yeah.
Can you do this as we're talking?
I think so.
Is it editable?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
a Word doc,
Yeah.
but
Okay.
it's more
And then down to the other one, number 14, which was aquaculture. I mean, I can't even imagine what aquaculture, freshwater aquaculture we'd have going. And again, if nothing else, it shortens the list so people don't look at it and say, Jesus, we won't be able to do anything. So it's more of a,
So we're leaving, I'm sorry, we're leaving water pollution control in,
In,
is
yeah.
that correct?
9's gone,
and deleting 9.
and 14.
We haven't talked about 14 yet, but,
Well, yeah, I
So
mean,
we got
there's
fisheries,
no...
wildlife habitat, rare species, and then the...
Agriculture.
Agriculture is, oops.
but then aquaculture is what I scratched out.
Right.
And
Yeah.
everybody's in agreement with that?
And then on
How did-
15, I added the adjective passive recreation values. Okay?
So that makes it 13, right?
Yeah.
But again, it's going to end up looking like this.
Yes, yeah. Right,
So, yeah.
okay. 1.2, authority. The Home Rule Authority, and again, this is boilerplate. The Home Rule Authority of the Town of Berlin entitles the town to protect additional resource areas and values with additional standards and procedures stricter than those of the Wetlands Protection Act. Mass General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, referred to herein as the Act, and the regulation promulgated thereunder by the Massachusetts Department of Environmental Protection at Title 310, Code Mass Regs 10. Nothing's changed there. Section 2, jurisdiction. Regulation, except as permitted by the Conservation Commission or as provided in this bylaw, no person shall commence to remove, fill, dredge, build upon, degrade, discharge into, or otherwise alter the following 14
13?
No, it's a different list.
Sorry.
following 14 resource areas, and then they're all listed there, and the ones that are highlighted were kind of the main, what this bylaw is adding to the state act. This is what we were we had in there. Freshwater wetlands, weather bordering streams and ponds are isolated. And again, this
Right.
is, do you want to or not want to do it or whatever? So
So,
Let's go through them.
then,
well, hold on. Let's stop at this list. Did you have something?
Well, a couple things. Again, in the paragraph form, banks and beaches are combined, and steeps and springs are combined. But we should, that's just as a matter of presentation.
Number of numbers, though, I mean.
I was gonna say, if it's gonna be in paragraph form, do we wanna take out the numbers so it doesn't seem as overwhelming?
There will, I mean, the thing is, he also passed around this, which is the same document, but
Yeah.
without some of the annotations in paragraph form.
Yeah.
yeah, again, and just so we're on the same mindset here, everything that's been said, that's right, but I explained, this was merely laid out, stretched out, put in this table form and all this stuff so that we could follow it through. When we agree on all the points, boom, it goes back into that form.
Correct.
Okay.
So the line 3, freshwater wetlands, whether bordering streams and ponds or isolated, that's something that that's sort of language the MACC often recommends putting in that is left out of the Wetlands Protection Act. So isolated land subject to flooding, if they're not part of a larger resource area, are not protected. So, that's.
Most vernal pools are.
Right. So vernal pools are not protected unless they are part of a wetland resource area
Or certified.
or certified, but yeah.
We
Go
know
ahead,
that.
you finish. Because I have something I want to say about this as well, but.
This incidentally, number 3, if this was a bylaw, we wouldn't have a neighborhood to the extent that we have, There's a couple of things that have happened that,
Right.
and it was nice wetland, cat and nine tails, but it wasn't linked to anything. So, so we're just on that
No,
list.
I-
So
I-
what-
Yep.
Carolyn has a
Yeah.
comment.
So I guess my question really is, part of, we seem to be reiterating what the Wetlands Protection Act already does. Aren't we trying to, almost everything on this list is already covered by the Wetlands Protection Act or the Rivers Act? So why are we adding all of the things that are already covered and not just saying?
Okay, let me answer the question. This bylaw, that wording is virtually the same in Concord, in Carlisle. I
Yeah,
imagine
I'm
there's
just
some
curious.
legal requirement, and this is something I don't understand, Carolyn, and I've tried to look into it, the difference between the bylaw and the regs, and I've looked at them in a couple of towns, Harvard and Concord, so they're virtually the same, so I don't know what that's all about, but
Because
you
I
have-
think by including all of this stuff, it makes it seem onerous,
I
even
know.
though it's already protected.
this is a
And we're
modest
just-
bylaw compared to what other towns do.
We're,
Carolyn? So according to the MACC handbook, there's a lot of legal precedent for what to include and not include
Okay.
in these wetland bylaws. And a lot of it is regurgitation. Interestingly, though, if you just try to adopt the
regs.
the state regs, that won't fly. They'll get voted down by the government because the only part of having a bylaw is to have further protections than the Wetland Bylaws Act, but they still want you to regurgitate a lot of this stuff. The real problem is you get 2 layers of stuff. That comes later in this document. And that's where our work gets more complicated. Okay, is that
yeah,
question?
I'm trying to present this in a way that people understand we're not adding all of this stuff.
Right.
Yeah, we could present a highlighted version, though, of what's
Right.
Right. You could-
added,
I mean, yes, you'd have
just
to
for
do
a
a sep-
presentation to the
for-
town.
For presentation
Right,
purposes.
Right.
Yeah.
But we're sort of stuck in adding, in writing, it has to be, you look through other towns, they're all like really long documents.
Right.
And I agree with Walter, it's not clear to me how they separate out what, like in Bolton, a lot of this language goes in their regulations, and their regulations is like 15 to 20 pages long. I have a political question for you.
Yeah.
So I know you wanted to add 10 feet to make it 25 feet to 35 feet.
Yep.
Which personally I'm fine with. But again, politically, if we could just say, we've had this 25-foot setback policy, 95% of the time everybody respects it, but every once in a while, someone will hold our feet to the fire, so we just want to codify it, as opposed to we want even more. Is that something that makes sense as we're trying to sell this?
Well, I would go for this, but it takes a vote of the board.
I'm just bringing it up as a discussion.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about the fact that this was, a similar type of bylaw was voted down recently. And it wasn't just because of
Right,
Scott.
But what Scott picked on was the seeps and springs.
Was the what?
Seeps and springs.
Oh, yeah.
He convinced people that the puddle from the snow melt in your yard was going to keep you from doing anything ever. And because I remember, seeps and springs was the thing that he honed in on.
So is that not in the Wetlands Protection Act? This is an addition?
Seeps and
I
springs.
think seeps and springs might be in the WPA.
No, I don't think
In
so.
the, right. So, and so then, when I was scanning it, because this is the first time I've seen this document, even though you mailed it out last week,
I have a phone, you could have called.
I didn't know it went out. But regardless, so when I was looking at it tonight, I, was reading the definition of seeps and springs. And I know that's where we got into trouble last time. People didn't have, I believe we had 35 feet in the last time also. That wasn't an issue.
So, let me have a thought about this. Again, and I don't know how to get around the fact that it's a long document and people's eyes glaze over, but in section 5 is where all the definitions are. And, if you look under 5.10, it's under B.
What page?
Now we're on, actually, it goes to page 8 is what I'm looking at.
Page 7.
I know.
starts on 7.
Starts on 7, I'm looking at the top of page 8. And where it says functions and provided, I would put a period between the two, just because it's run. Top of page 8, right there, functions and provided. Put a period between functions and provided. Capitalize provided, P. Provided, however, that said presumption shall not apply to a confined basin depression occurring in a lawn, garden, landscaped area, driveway, cultivated field, or open grazed meadow that legally existed at the
Yeah,
time.
I thought of that myself.
Right, I
So if we
got stuck
put-
on that.
So if we put that under Seeps and Springs 2, or something like it,
Yeah.
then that takes the air out of that argument.
Good.
I like it. Yeah, it, like I said, it just,
Right.
he exaggerated some of the minutia
Right.
of these
But
things.
if we can say, well, look at the definition, a seep in a spring isn't a puddle in your backyard.
Right.
So anyway, back to so we'll add that in, we'll just cut and paste that sucker?
Well, you can if, I suppose it won't hurt, but it's in here.
It's under vernal pools, but not under seeps and springs.
Oh, seeps and springs.
Right, so what John's saying is, under vernal pools,
Oh, yeah, if it's in a
definition.
lawn, it's exempt. But
Right.
it doesn't say that on the seeps and the springs.
Right.
and what he's saying is we should add that to seeps and
Or
springs.
make it 5.11 as 5.11, provided, that,
Right, all of these things are
right.
conditional.
So you can do that too.
I think in the exemptions, unless there was another, I've read so many bylaws, that there's anything, the statement's made, if any of this is in already altered land, lawns, pastures, gravel pits, it doesn't count.
Right, but it doesn't hurt to repeat it, so if,
Okay.
we can say, we don't mean that. We don't mean the puddle in your backyard.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, back to the 3525. again, personally, I have no issue with 20, 30, 35. Politically, though, is it worth changing? Because we have a 25-foot no-touch policy, which is a policy, not a bylaw. So, and it has been successfully challenged in the past.
Correct.
It actually is just a wish on our part.
Right.
Yeah, it's a request.
Right.
There's no state on that?
Nope.
No.
Zero.
Zero.
It has no teeth. It's like an old dog.
Okay.
How about other towns?
Other towns,
If
they're
they
up
have a
to,
bylaw.
they're up to 50 in other towns, some other towns.
But with a
And they're
bylaw.
never less than 35, but go up to 50.
Right,
some
but with a
days.
bylaw.
Right.
Right.
we just
Yeah.
stated it.
Well, that's what this is.
But what John's saying was, John was talking about the policy.
Yeah, I think what John's
Politics.
trying, politics is what I'm thinking John's trying to say, if I hear him correctly, is we originally went with 25, then we made it 35. Do we have an answer of why we're adding 10 feet besides we want it?
Because science shows that 75 feet are critical for resource areas, for wildlife, for filtration,
why aren't
for
you
all
going for
that stuff.
75?
So, because we're talking about politics here, but,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
There's a,
was it in the last one, 35? I
I
thought you
believe
just
so.
said it was in there, nobody
I
had a
believe it
problem with
was.
it.
How is this 25-foot policy conveyed at this point if it's not?
It's attached to all.
it's on our website and like stuff like
So it's
that.
just something we want and it just
Yes.
says it?
Most
We
developers
voted it.
respect it,
Okay.
but I
Do they
think
know that it's not
probably,
a bylaw? Okay.
unless they're not good.
God had
Yeah.
called us on it,
Right.
and that's where it got
And you-
declared
right,
it
right,
wasn't
but
valid.
everyone else.
Most developers, when they come in, want to play nice.
Yeah.
Right,
Not all.
and respect it.
Yeah.
And they make a point to point out that they are
They're
respecting
meaning
it.
it.
Yeah, so it was 35 last time.
There's another twist, which is that, and I read this in the MACC handbook, because there's two ways of differentiating this boundary area. One is a no-touch, and one is a no-build or no structure. So another thing, you could say 25-foot no-touch, an additional 25-foot no-build, no structure.
There is, what I've seen is, one of them, it was like, it was a 25-foot no disturb, and then the next 75 feet, no, the next 50 feet, in other words, the 75 feet was no build. So within 75 feet, no structures. Within 25 of that 75 feet, no touch, no disturb.
Right, I'm suggesting instead of 25, 75, it's 25 and 50. So that's more than 35.
Couple of points on this. You can, we can go for what we want to do and stand up on the town floor, and you can offer amendments to decrease, which I think would, if you're going to talk politics, nothing make us look better than that, to come in and say we're decreasing it. So that would not be harmful. The hell was the other thing?
So
The other
are you
point.
saying that if people have a hard time with the 35-foot, we could be prepared to reduce it to 25?
We know that 35 feet is, not adequate, to be honest with you, to protect the ecology of the resource areas, but it's certainly better than 25 feet. What is it?
And it's-
10 over 25 is what? It's 40% increase.
Right.
So I say, that's the importance of it, 35 feet. I recommend we stick with it.
Liz?
I don't think in town meeting we can change it on the fly.
We can change, we
can.
can
Yes, you can,
decrease
you can
it.
reduce it.
You can make an amendment.
We can
You-
make
you
an
can't
in-
increase it.
In town meeting, though? You can
Yes,
say-
yes.
On the
Okay.
floor.
Okay,
Yep.
okay.
But only to decrease,
Not increase.
not increase. You can make it less, but you can't make it more. Money, rules, all of it.
Have we want to take a,
But
raise of hands on the 35 feet so we can get moving along?
But we're not addressing what John
It's gonna take
is
a while.
saying.
Pardon me?
He's not,
I'm fine with leaving it at 35,
Okay,
but we have a lot of work to do. That's what I'm saying.
Right, that's what I'm
Just take a deep
saying.
breath.
all right.
I would just like to have a reason why we're saying 35. Some, I'm an engineer, I'd like some facts saying this is why we're going with 35, because of this document or this
well,
something.
what's 25 based on?
Well,
I
From
believe
what
it's the same
I'm
science.
playing devil guys here, so it's
Yeah.
like, okay, 35 sounds good, pull that out of the
I
air.
believe it's the same science. It's just that,
Just
Okay.
a number.
Well, are
Right.
there any statistics that say 35 is?
Probably not.
It would be nice to say, runoff over 25 feet will give you, take out 70% of the
Frog
pollutants.
eggs.
Yeah, pollutants, and that 35 would take out now, instead of 70%, take out 80%, or something like a number to back it up, that's all. That's all I'm
I
asking.
believe it's, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's a corridor directly along the water that is accessible for animals, animal movement.
Okay.
And
So-
strips of upland. The strips of upland, which is what, the
Yeah,
35 feet.
Right, but
is
exactly,
upland.
so that's why there's a that's why there's a
Right.
strip along the edge
Oh, yeah, yeah.
of the wetlands and the rivers and everything that are no disturb, like not even, no fences, no, to leave a wildlife corridor adjacent to the water.
Right.
I have no problem with 35.
Okay, leave it
Yeah.
35. How about the vernal pools? All vernal pools?
Yeah,
Okay. So, as far as the list goes, we're going to leave the highlighted things which were in the 1903 bylaw, whatever the hell it was, in there, right? Okay. Moving down, in the green there, no part of a subsurface sewage disposal system shall be permitted within 100 feet of the above listed resource areas, except that this does not apply to the 200-foot riverfront area and item 14, the 35-foot no disturb area. That's an added fifth thing to it. You can either take it out or whatever you want.
This is not our bailiwick. We're not
Sewage.
septic.
The wetland is our bailiwick. And
Right.
we want to protect the bailiwick. Houses on our bailiwick, but we don't want houses within a certain distance. Farming isn't our bailiwick, but we don't want that. This is a subsurface sewage disposal system. And I've seen it in another bylaw. Well, let me ask you this, do you want, the Board of Health has it, but anything a little tough, they turn away from it.
They don't enforce it
really-
anyhow, that doesn't mean
Right,
anything.
they've caved a couple times. Well, that's the reason it's in there, so I mean, whatever you want
right,
to do.
so I do think some language needs to, it needs to be new septic systems. It can't exclude
that's true.
existing systems.
You know,
How about replacing an existing?
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
If an existing system that has failed is within 100 feet, we can't say no.
Yeah.
So it has to only be pertain to new construction.
New construction.
Okay, so how do we say that?
Okay, so.
okay,
just-
number L on item 4.2. Construct in any part of a sewage system within 100 feet of any resource area. It's prohibited. This does not apply to a 35-foot wide no disturb zone and a 200-foot riverfront area. This does not apply to repairs to existing sewage systems. On
But to
page
say-
5.
Okay.
You would have to say new construction, not just new sewage system.
No part of a new subsurface sewage system. You want to put new in there?
Yes.
Yeah.
So which section are we on? Are we on 4 or are we back up
Page
on 2?
2. Page 2.
Yeah.
But if
Okay, but-
my septic system fails, I have to put in a new system.
No, you're repairing an existing.
That would be a repair.
You're repairing an existing.
New means
system.
you're putting in a septic
Brand
system that
new.
no longer existed, that
Okay.
never had one on the parcel.
We got up the one at the end of Lyman Road, it's in a wetland, for
Oh, I
heaven's
know.
sakes. A couple of them.
I have one question I'd like to
Make
put
sure
in.
Yeah.
that people
Land
don't
subject
think
to
that's a
flooding.
loophole.
Who determines that? I'm looking at right across from River Road, that time where they were gonna put the soccer fields in. It says, we voted it wasn't land subject to flooding, and then everybody did, and all of a sudden when the...
Isolated land subject to flood.
Yeah, but then, was the Army Corps of Engineers came in and says that it was. So how do you,
Well, all right.
who's the police on that?
A long time ago, Steve, probably in the 60s, Emerson Chandler led it, we've got a complete floodplain zone. They've done a total, the Army Corps has been in fact, we have a map, like that zoning map, that has the flooded areas on it. So that would be what we would fall back on.
Okay, so in that case, we missed it, or it wasn't on it?
What do you mean? Missed what?
So, on the soccer fields,
Yeah,
they're up in the, if you're standing at the stream looking at the property, looking up towards River Road, up on the top right, there
on
was.
soccer field?
The proposed.
The proposed, well, our conservation
okay.
land now.
Yeah,
Right
conservation
there.
land.
Yeah.
Yeah,
When the soccer fields were
Yeah.
being proposed.
yeah.
There's an area on the top right, up by River Road, that was called out as isolated land subject to flooding.
Yeah,
Skip walked it, decided that it wasn't significant, and that, it was okay to alter it. When the NOI went to DEP, the Army Corps of Engineers
Yeah.
said, oh, no, no,
Can't touch
no.
it. Yeah.
You cannot fill that that in. That is significant.
yeah.
And it's one of the things that,
So I
Put the
don't
kibosh
understand
on
your
that part.
point. Why are you saying this? To me, that's good.
Steve,
If the
it is
Corps
good,
goes beyond what we
sure.
did,
But
what do
Steve
we
wants to
care?
know who defines
Oh, the
important,
Corps.
isolated.
Ultimately, the Corps. We do it, but then the Corps, just like the Corps found that, excuse me, you were explaining how they found out. That, by the way, I can remember getting stuck in there with a baler, hay baler, and a John Deere tractor. And that is wetlands in that corner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so you answered my question, the Army Corps.
Okay. So what about what's in green on page 2 there, that big area? Is any, we're gonna add the word new to it.
Okay, so no part of a new subsurface sewerage system shall be permitted within 100 feet, is that,
Yep.
of the above listed resource areas, except
Right, so what does this next part mean?
that this does not apply.
That's just to be deleted. He just added that in there for,
So that means if the septic system is built up, it's allowed.
No.
No,
Why?
It's not allowed at all.
No.
Why would you,
I think it's allowed, yeah.
Because we have right here on Wooded Ave, you have, across the street. The septic system is built up.
It's an existing structure. It's a rebuild.
Right, but what if it's a new construction and that's the only?
Couldn't do it.
you would not be allowed to put a house
Right.
That's right. it's
on a
non-buildable lot.
property.
Okay,
Right.
even if it's a raised septic system.
Correct.
Okay.
The only reason they raise it is because there's not enough soil in between,
Right.
existing
Right.
to perk properly.
Would it be
which is
clear,
often a bedrock.
would it be clear to
Right.
say no part of a new structure's subsurface sewage system?
Right. So I'm gonna play devil's advocate with this one a little bit. There are some people who are going to see that as land taking, because it will render some properties unbuildable.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some people are gonna see all of this as a land taking. That's what we're here for. Oh, I think the other point I was gonna make.
Land
Here
taking.
for.
We're here to protect the resources.
We're getting messing around with verbiage.
No,
I
but
mean,
this
you know
becomes,
what I mean.
this becomes politics.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm
Gee, I
bringing it.
never knew that.
I'm gonna throw something at you.
I'll tell you one thing.
Let me know, because I'm gonna move on.
Here's the other thing I was thinking of. We get this together. You know, the last time this went through, I was the bad guy, because, oh geez, I threw this in, we weren't prepared. We gotta be prepared to push this through, you know. We gotta do some politicking.
Yeah, we
We
have
gotta
to-
sit down and we gotta meet, and we gotta look at a voter list, and we gotta pick out who's gonna call who. And we've gotta get this job done. That's the only way we're gonna do this. And if we sit here and worrying about who's gonna oppose it, you know, when you run for election, you get out there and you take things on and you do it.
Although I agree that it's important to meet with people and try to do the politicking before the annual town meeting, I think it is also is equally important to make sure that the document itself isn't structured so as to upset such a large percentage of the population of the town that there's just incentive.
That it's doomed to fail.
That it's doomed to fail.
Okay, I don't think this is. In my view, this does not, isn't doomed to fail the way it's written right now.
Does the Wetlands Protection Act already have a provision for
No.
septics?
No.
Really?
I mean, take it out, I don't care.
Okay.
Can we take it out in town meeting if that becomes a sticking point?
No.
You can.
You can, but you don't want to do that. We want to do it now here. This is
Right, you don't want to be pulling.
Yeah.
a little tweak's
People will get
okay.
fed up.
Yeah.
It's a long
Right.
document.
Right.
Are we going to have informational hearings?
Yeah.
On this, right? Yep. Yeah.
And we're gonna have a little handout, we gotta mail out, we gotta get on Facebook, we gotta send things out to people on our email lists. So what do you wanna do with that 100-foot for the subsurface sewer? Pat thought it was a great idea. By the way,
It's only a
Carol, you
subsurface,
scratched that, this would add the fifth one.
Yeah, I got that.
so this will only be for subsurface.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Well, that's all.
Well,
that's
sure,
all
sure,
we
yeah.
have,
So-
Yeah.
Everything is subsurface.
Yeah.
Even the ones that are raised.
by the way, I learned something, the Wentworth Institute about
subsurface.
sewage.
They're underneath the ground.
What's the difference between sewage and storage?
That's what it's, septic system.
Your accent.
Storage is the structure, the infrastructure. Sewage runs through sewerage. Sewage is gray water.
Sewage
Right.
is,
Yeah,
Okay.
okay.
So what do we- what-
Now
so-
they passed that on to you.
Okay, so what are we saying here? Are we subsurface sewerage system?
Yeah, yeah.
and are we leaving it or are we taking it out?
Or should we vote?
Yeah,
No part of, except this doesn't apply to 200 area. And item 14.
So all those in favor of leaving it in, raise your hand. All those in favor of taking it out, raise your hand.
I don't know, I'm gonna
Okay.
abstain.
gotta make up your mind, Liz.
Why?
It doesn't have to.
Yeah, it's not going to swing the vote.
All right, let's proceed then.
I know.
I mean, I can,
With the vote.
I feel like
Okay, said wetland resource areas and adjacent protected lands are defined in section 5 of this bylaw. Where a proposed activity involves work within any of the above resource areas, including 200-foot riverfront area, the commission shall presume that the area is significant, this is again boilerplate for every bylaw I've read, significant to the aforesaid resource area. The 200-foot riverfront presumption does not apply to the redevelopment of those portions of a riverfront area regarded as previously developed or degraded as defined in the act, the state act. Previously developed applies only to development that predates the legal protection of the resource area. Orders of conditions for redevelopment are granted at the discretion of the commission. These presumptions are rebuttable and may be overcome by clear and convincing evidence showing that the resource area does not play a role in the protection of one or more of these interests.
So, question. So, when you say 200-foot and river, isn't there later a definite, we define river as being either perennial or intermittent? So do you want to put that in there too? Or have them find that out later?
You find it out later.
Okay. Because, because that is a big change with respect to the Wetlands Protection Act. The Wetlands Protection Act would be 100 foot from an intermittent stream. And now we're saying intermittent streams are classified as rivers, so it'd be a 200 foot.
Well, we got in trouble with that last time too.
Right, but the thing is, if you read this, it looks, like you read that paragraph and you don't immediately understand that they're talking about intermittent streams.
Right.
Again, you're all going through what I've been going through for 5 days. You look at these other bylaws and think, what the heck? And then you read, oh, there it is, and they're all like this. They're all, as long as
It's all
it's in there
legalese.
someplace.
Right,
and
well, I have been reading these over the past
You
several
can
days.
add it in if you want.
Well, I have been reading these over the past several days, but I'm also looking at it from the perspective of somebody who isn't on the commission. And might go like, whoa, what do you mean?
Yeah.
You
So
know.
say again what you said before, please.
So later on, there's there's a statement including, so right now, a river is a perennial stream is counted as a river.
Okay.
So,
And falls under the River
That is,
Protection Act.
and
Right.
is
clearly defined.
And that has a 200-foot buffer zone. An intermittent stream is something that dries up in the summer, even if it's just for 4 straight days.
That's 100.
And that's 100-foot. So later in this document, we say we're counting intermittent streams as rivers.
One correction on that, an intermittent stream does not have a 100-foot, we define buffer. You talking no disturb or just a buffer where we have authority? to-
Where we have
have
authority.
authority.
The Wetlands Protection Act
And
has
the
authority.
river front is a no
200 no
disturb.
touch, right.
So,
That's the River Protection
Right,
Act,
the River
whereas
Protection
the
Act.
intermittent stream falls under the Wetlands Protection Act.
right, as a
Thank you.
buffer, right, a
Thank you.
buffer, yeah.
Right. So, what this paragraph doesn't do is clearly define that we're now going to include intermittent streams as rivers. Because that's a big change.
Right, are we?
Is that what we want to do then? Is that what we're hoping to do, or do we need to fix our wording?
.7 on page 7. A river or stream shall mean a body of running water that moves in a definite channel on the ground due to a hydraulic gradient. A river or stream under this bylaw shall be any river or stream that is shown in the current USGS quadrangle map, whether intermittent or perennial. So, that's kind of the gotcha for the paragraph on page 2.
Right.
So do we want to leave it as a gotcha, or do you want to be clear about what we're talking about here?
Well, we want to be clear. We don't want to have any
I want to be a
gotchas.
gotcha, right.
The question is we have run into some circumstances where the USGS map isn't exactly accurate.
It's flat out wrong, right. So, that's a separate issue. That doesn't often happen, but it has happened in the past year.
So is that what we want to base that on?
Before we get to that question, I think we need to tackle the question of intermittent versus perennial.
It should state it in here, you know.
Oh, it should definitely be stated. Whatever we decide about that, and then how that is defined, should be stated in that other paragraph.
Okay. Is everybody in agreement with that?
Or you could change the intermittent stream to a 100-foot no touch, no disturb.
Which
The river-
that seems more reasonable for an intermittent line.
Yeah, the river is 200-foot no disturb, and an intermittent, as on the topo maps, would be 100-foot. You could do that.
So we would have to read.
That would definitely be
A happier
better.
thing.
Yeah, I
So-
think people would be more.
So we'll have to reword 5.7 and the paragraph on page 2. Also, 5.7 and 5.9 seem redundant. Just saying.
5.7, 5.9 are redundant?
River or stream and stream. They just seem that they ought to be lumped into one thing.
Stream.
Or just scratch 5.9?
I
Yeah,
think
maybe.
it's just creek or brook. Can we add creek or brook to 5.7?
Yeah, well, this whole thing has to be,
All right. Explain
I think that's the only thing here with
Degraded.
5.9 is creek or
back on
brook.
page 2.
so we're going back to page 2 now?
Well,
When we're ready.
You don't really need creek or brook, it's just redundant. The stream, the perennial and intermittent streams covers anything like that. So, and a creek is more of a western term, and brook, that's stream.
Okay, so cross out 5.9?
Yeah, I would.
Okay. Crick.
back on page 2, what's your definition of degraded? It says, portions of the riverfront areas regarded as previously developed, got that one, or degraded.
Yeah, that's degraded, it's no longer.
Should it
Yeah.
be, should the
Disturbed?
word be disturbed instead?
What line?
Page 2, right? there.
Wait a minute, that's in parentheses, and then as you read on, as defined by the act, so it's defined
So,
in the
so
act.
that's how it's written in the
Yeah.
Wetlands Protection Act? It uses the word degraded.
I just want to know what it means.
that's-
If somebody gets up and questions that, how do I back that up?
Well, you've got to do some reading and studying before in the next 2 months, so you got your act together.
Do you know?
I don't know off the top of my head, I mean,
Well, degraded would be less than natural state.
Right.
basically.
Okay,
Or
I'm just seeing somebody, that's a loophole, somebody can get in there and say, oh, that's degraded, and how do you,
Well,
okay.
we have to go back to the act and see what the definition of it is. What?
Yeah, that's the way I read that sentence, don't you?
Yeah, I do too, I agree, go back to the
Okay,
act and
yeah.
and get the definition for degraded, because
Right.
right now I don't know what it is.
So in other words, we're not getting caught in a bind here, you want to argue about it, go look at the law, if
Yeah.
somebody comes in.
Okay.
It's
That's
a
fine.
long law. It wouldn't be a bad idea to cite which paragraph. And I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to just flip through all those pages.
So you want it,
Oh, go ahead.
so you want to add the citation in there?
Well, that's what he's suggesting.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
it's a good
agree,
idea.
that's a good idea.
I like it.
This last line, is that boilerplate where it talks about being, the order conditions for redevelopment being granted at the discretion of the commission? I mean, that sounds like we could just like.
Yeah, I don't like that
willy-nilly
either, yeah. I don't
do
like that
whatever we want.
discretion.
I think people would have an issue with that.
are granted under the purview of the
That's
commission.
better. That's better.
At the purview of the commission?
Well, you could scratch that sentence. I mean, everything
It
is
doesn't seem
at,
like it needs to be there.
everything is at the discretion, you know, when you,
Yeah, but I think to
Make
put it in
good
black and
judgments.
white makes it seem very much
It
like.
does
we can
sound that
just-
way.
Right, well, I mean, really, there are, a lot of things aren't at our discretion.
Yeah.
There are definitely things that we have to do.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, we
And
should try and
it-
keep this to things that are very black and white.
Right.
You know?
Right.
That
And
sounds
we
very
do.
subjective
It's
to
based
me.
on
Yeah, it sounds
information
like,
presented to
well,
us, facts presented to us.
contested.
So we
Yeah.
agree to take that last line out.
take the last
Or we
line
could
out,
reject
or,
something if we,
agree.
These presumptions are rebuttable and may be overcome.
Ready to move on?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, these presumptions are rebuttable and may be overcome by clear and convincing evidence showing that the resource area does not play a role in the protection of one or more of these interests. Enforcement, no person shall alter, cause, suffer, or allow any activity or alteration of any wetland resource area or its adjoining land protected by this bylaw, or leave in place unauthorized fill in a wetland resource area or of its adjoining land protected by this bylaw, or otherwise fail to restore to its original condition any legally altered wetland resource area or its adjoining land protected by this bylaw. B, no person shall fail to comply with a wetland permit or an enforcement order issued by the Conservation Commission pursuant to this bylaw. Enforcing agent, again, I just add these things so people are quick to see what it was instead of have to read the whole thing. All right, enforcing agent, Conservation Commission shall have the authority to enforce compliance with the conditions of the wetland bylaw permits, the regulations authorized by this bylaw, and provisions of this bylaw by violation notices, enforcement orders, non-criminal citations under the Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 40, Section 21D, and civil and criminal court actions as appropriate.
So we can take out the words enforcing agent.
You can, if you want.
Take out what?
can we just go back to A real quick where it says unauthorized fill left in the wetland area? What would that refer to? I mean,
Dumping.
I mean, is that,
We had a situation on Oak Street one time, some people, they were clearing the land, they just pushed everything into the wetland. And it's it was a violation of wetlands,
Yeah,
it's
okay.
placing stuff, so
Unauthorized fill.
just unauthorized fill.
So enforcing agent went away.
Okay.
B,
No, you're on the wrong page.
Oh.
You're still on C, actually.
Right, yeah, because it's more than
please
C.
see.
on the next
245,
page.
got it.
Yeah.
Members of the Conservation Commission and officials and employees of the commission are empowered to act as enforcing persons, provided, however, that any action taken by such enforcing person is ratified by the Conservation Commission at the next scheduled meeting, or if not previously so authorized.
So are there employees of the commission? I don't,
Like, if we hired Pat,
Yeah.
he would be
Or
considered.
conservation agent.
Okay,
agents,
okay.
agents of
These
the
guys.
commission.
Let's hire them.
So instead of
Would a
employees, I would
conservation
use-
agent be an employee of the town, though?
No.
Or an employee of,
Let's not split hairs.
Oh, I would like to do it employees for agents.
Yeah.
I would say agents too,
Yeah.
I agree.
Officials and agents of the okay.
Yeah.
And agents.
You could probably leave out
Employees.
officials, Conservation Commission and agents of the commission.
Yeah, I like it better too.
yeah.
Agents.
And officials, you want to scratch that?
Yeah.
Officials and agents of the commission.
Conservation
Officials and
Commission
employees of the
No,
members.
agents.
official, or Conservation Commission members.
It says
And
members of
agents.
the,
Members
it
of
says
the-
members of the.
Oh, I'm
Conservation
sorry.
Commission And agents of the commission are
Yeah.
empowered to act
All right,
as
so we're
enforcing.
taking
I would say that would-
officials out?
yeah.
Yep.
Okay, can somebody read the whole sentence?
Members of the Conservation Commission and agents of the commission are empowered to act as, quote, enforcing persons, unquote. Provided, however, that any action taken by such enforcing person is ratified by the Conservation Commission at the next scheduled meeting, if not previously so authorized.
I think that's fine.
Yep.
Good.
Quick suggestion, going back, where John wanted to scratch enforcing agent, you know, I would just put enforcement of this. This is all about the enforcement of the
Or enforcing
bylaw.
body.
But you don't have to, that's just my...
But you're in the
We
enforcement
haven't-
section.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
This is all enforcement.
Okay. Next one, remediation. Conservation Commission may order any person who alters a wetland resource area and adjoining protected land in violation of any provision of this bylaw and the regulations promulgated thereunder to restore the land and wetland resource area to its original condition and take other actions deemed necessary to remedy such violation. You want to scratch remediation?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
but it was good just for this.
Okay. Fines. The Conservation Commission may issue a fine for the violation of any provision of this bylaw and the regulations promulgated thereunder. Such fine may be in addition to any other order of the condition, of the commission.
Can we fine them? I thought there was something
I thought you
about...
said we couldn't
I thought you said we didn't have the authority to fine.
We will if this passes.
Okay.
We don't because we don't have this.
Oh,
Fine for the violation of any provision.
okay.
E1, any person who violates any provision of this bylaw may be penalized by a fine of not more than $300 per violation per day as provided by the Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 40, Section 21. E2, any person who violates any provision of this bylaw or regulations of the Conservation Commission promulgated pursuant to this bylaw may be penalized per violation per day by non-criminal citations as provided by Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 40, Section 21D as follows. Violation occurs before the enforcement order issues received is $50 a day. Violations after is $100 a day. 3, each...
Wait,
We need
wait,
to say
wait.
Yeah,
day.
it doesn't say it.
It does
per
say
day.
above. It applies for per day by non,
Oh,
it says
okay.
it above.
Okay.
And those numbers are,
I'm just assuming that there's somewhere.
yeah, okay.
That's the lawyers to figure out.
Right.
Per day, yeah, just a day.
3, each day or portion thereof during a violation during which a violation continues or unauthorized fill or other alteration remains in place shall constitute a separate violation. 4, each provision of the bylaw and regulations violated shall constitute a separate violation.
See, well,
I need to
I need to
digest
digest
three.
three
Yeah.
again.
Each day or portion thereof during which a
You're
violation
going to have to move ahead
continues.
without me for 5 minutes.
It basically means if you if you wreck the wetlands over here and 50 yards over there in the same property, you wreck it in a different way,
Yeah.
they're separate violations.
Okay.
So we can ka-ching you both times.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, I can understand that.
During which a violation continues or
Yeah,
unauthorized.
What I can tell you is that wetland bylaws often have this kind of language around fines. This is pretty similar to a lot of other things, and the lawyers will figure out the details. But this looks, if you look at other towns' bylaws, or the MAC's stuff, that's all in there.
Yeah, I know, I just want to digest it.
Through each
Yeah,
one
I
and
understand
what
what
it
you
said.
said, but it doesn't say that as clearly as you said it. Do we want to reword it?
No, let the lawyers
Okay.
work
I
on
have a
that.
question about 1 and 2. Aren't those basically the same thing, but with different amounts of money?
No, because you could violate I think it's because of different statutes. Again, I don't want to get too
Oh,
caught.
21, okay, this is 21, this is 21D.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm going to let the lawyers worry about that. Because right now, we have zero ability to
Right.
fine people, even if it's just $10 a day. So that's something.
Right.
Right.
I'm fine with
Some
that.
sort of reason to not make something drag on.
Right.
All right, I'm just going to substitute for
Yep.
Walter. Section 3, exemptions and exceptions, normal maintenance or improvement of land and agricultural use. This is something that's in a lot of them. The MACC site sprinkles it around, but essentially this is pretty standard. The application for an issuance of,
So adding commercial
Commercial or
or
non-commercial, is that necessary?
non-commercial?
I would just strike that.
Okay.
Just make it generic.
Yeah.
We went on to section 3.1, and we thought we'd eliminate the green commercial and or non-commercial, and we just worry about that later.
Okay.
And the application for an issuance of a bylaw wetlands permit shall not be required for the work performed for normal maintenance or improvement of land and agricultural uses defined by the Wetlands Protection Act and regulations promulgated thereunder by the Massachusetts Department of Environmental Protection, provided, however, nothing contained within this provision shall prohibit the Conservation Commission from exercising its full enforcement powers under this bylaw should it be determined the activity is not normal maintenance or improvement of land and agricultural use.
Not, yes, not.
That's standard stuff.
Yep.
Now, you mentioned, you put something in green there about forest cutting?
Yeah, I saw in another bylaw, I just want to make sure, there's a lot of timber and a lot of cordwood that needs to be cut in wetlands area. It's just going to get blown over anyway. It doesn't hurt to do it. And I saw that in other bylaws.
Yeah, I did
Where
too.
you can actually do that.
On my agenda for
Yeah.
when I go to the conference is to corral DCR officials, because it's like, if you read about this stuff, it's very conflicting.
Yeah,
It's really not clear who has what authority to do what.
right.
So let's just strike that, and
Okay.
I'll try to clarify. We always put it under a regulation later.
Okay. And it's somewhat in the act defined in the Code of Mass Regulations 10.4.
And then the next one's around maintenance repair, and this is also pretty boilerplate.
And so the next one is clearing water courses, conservation outdoor passive recreation such as hiking trails. Oh, I added that. That's a whole thing that I just added.
I think we can scratch that one.
Okay. Everybody agree?
Yeah, so clearing water courses, like if a tree falls over in the Assabet, you can go out there with
Yeah, I mean,
your-
it's, some of it's good, but in Northbrook now, I mean, the trees are just coming down.
Right, well, that's
So-
so I don't actually have a problem with being able to clear.
I lifted this out of, again, I can't remember, but I lifted this out of another bylaw from another town.
Right, I mean, the thing is, we may not need, that's a good idea, but may not have to be in this bylaw,
Okay.
you know?
So let's correct that.
Yeah. The public utility things, you lifted that right out of an old document too, right?
Where are you here?
Page 4, 3.2, public utilities.
Yeah, that was,
Yeah,
that was
they can
in
do
here.
whatever they want.
This is what was in the original one. The application for the.
No, that actually is very complicated. There's a big lawsuit with the Bedford versus the Mass Highway Department about their salt barn poisoning wells. So they can't act, they do not have unrestricted authority, but anyway,
They think they do.
They think they do.
Yeah.
All right, but anyway, that's kind of boilerplate. So what do you want to say about emergency projects?
The application for an issuance of a bylaw wetlands permit shall not be required for emergency projects, and that's all boilerplate.
Okay.
You know,
It's like a
water main
business
breaks,
phone.
we don't have water mains, but I don't know, a road washes out and a bridge washes out, and they've got to get at it in a hurry.
Okay. Like the diesel spill, you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
3.4, no other exceptions to this bylaw. Pretty clear.
Yep.
Section 4, definitions and terms. The following definitions shall apply. Any interpretation and implementation of this bylaw, except as otherwise provided in this bylaw or in regulations of the Berlin Conservation Commissions. The definitions of the terms of this bylaw shall be as set forth in the Act. Act. The term act means the Massachusetts General Laws. Alter. It shall include without limitation the following temporary or permanent activities when undertaken to, upon, within, or affecting wetland resource areas and adjacent land protected by this bylaw, provided, however, that the term alter shall not apply to maintaining and replacing within existing footprint without enlargement of that footprint structures and vegetation that legally exist at the time of the adoption of the bylaw. So again, this is pre-existing conditions. You can't shut them
Being
down if the
allowed.
house burns or
Right.
something like that, you know. Term alter, adoption of this bylaw. Structures, vegetation, legally, okay. Removing, excavating or dredging soil, sand, gravel, aggregate materials of any kind. Okay, this is under the definition of alter. Changing the pre-existing drainage. You want to read through this whole list?
Yeah.
Okay. Changing the pre-existing drainage and runoff characteristics, flushing characteristics, salinity, distribution, sedimentation patterns, flow patterns, or flood retention characteristics. C, draining or otherwise disturbing surface water levels or the water table. D, dumping, discharging, or filling with any material that would degrade the water quality, something like Santa Wanza.
Yeah.
E, placing, fill, or removing materials that would alter elevations. F, driving piles and erecting or expanding buildings or structures of any kind. See, so you have pre-existing, you just can't expand it and stuff. G, placing obstructions or objects in the water. H, destroying, including cutting any vegetation within a wetland resource area.
Oh, there we go.
There we go.
Yeah, so I don't know what to do about that either. I mean,
Yeah.
You know,
I would scratch it.
yeah, because also, like, what about, like, invasive species?
Right, I was gonna say.
Like a
some-
what?
Like
Invasive
invasives. Like if someone
Yeah.
wanted to go in and pull all the
Yeah.
bittersweet out of
Yeah.
their.
Let's just scratch
wetlands.
that one.
Yeah. I, changing temperature, biochemical oxygen demand, or other physical, biological, or chemical characteristics of any waters. Conducting any activities making changes or performing work that may cause or tend to contribute to pollution of any body of water or groundwater. K, conducting incremental activities that have or may have a cumulative adverse impact on a wetland resource area protected. I added this, constructing any, if we're gonna scratch out the sewage, we might as well scratch this out.
Well, you voted not to scratch the sewer, John.
That's right, we didn't, leave it.
Well, the thing is, do we, my point here is, do we need to repeat it? Particularly because it's sort of, the message is a little, there's three messages in one here. Do we need to repeat it? That's the thing. Because this is under the term, definition of alter.
Alter.
So I don't know if it needs to be stated there.
Okay.
Agreed.
So let's cut it out just because it's already stated elsewhere.
4.3, commission, the term commission shall mean conservation commission. Limited project status, term limited project status shall mean certain activities, work, or projects specified by the Act, and so it's defined in the Act, and regulations of the Berlin Conservation Commission, where the commission shall not presume that a wetland resource area or adjacent protected resource area is significant to the protection of the wetland resource area values. Limited projects include but are not limited to the maintenance of ponds used for fire protection, creation of a fire pond in adjacent protected areas, protection projects that will improve the natural capacity of the wetland, blah, 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 and then as I added 4 unpaved footpaths.
Sounds fine to me.
Leave it or scratch it?
Leave it.
Leave it.
A, 44A, the commission may permit in its discretion a limited project after evaluating the magnitude of the alteration and the significance of the project site to the wetland resource area values. The availability of reasonable alternatives to the proposed activity, the extent to which the adverse impacts are minimized, and the extent to which mitigation measures, including replication or restoration, are provided to contribute to the protection of the wetland resource area values.
Now, slow down for a minute, I'm still trying to get my thoughts together, maybe before I spend any more time. The rail trail going through Hog Swamp, right, going down towards Hudson.
Yeah.
Does this play a role in that?
No, that's an existing situation. This would play a role in that if they were going to develop it, they would have to put the siltation fences and all that other stuff, but that wouldn't impact the converting it to a trail.
Right, which, I mean, they'll have to do anyway because of how close it is, especially there,
Right.
but.
Correct. Okay, B, notwithstanding the above, the commission shall not permit a limited project that will have any adverse effect on rare species habitat sites. Then it defines person, that boilerplate, you want to read the whole thing? You want me to continue
Are we
reading?
going to define rare habitat species sites?
It's, you go to Fish and Wildlife and it's
Right.
mapped.
So just call out
Right,
that.
so just call that, reference that out,
So
as defined by,
Whatever.
By the Natural Heritage Program
right.
of Fisheries and Wildlife.
I'm sorry.
That way it's not arbitrary or even seeming.
Yep.
Can you repeat that again, Walter, if you don't mind?
Defined
By the
by-
natural,
A Natural Heritage Program.
But that's not really, that's kind of what it's called, but it's
you can,
it's more words, I think.
Yeah.
I filed a bill that formed
National
that.
Heritage Endangered Species.
Yeah, Natural Heritage Endangered
something.
Species
I'll
Program.
look it up, Carol.
okay, of the,
Division of Fisheries and Wildlife, Massachusetts Division of Fisheries and Wildlife.
Down at 4.6, just say rare species again. Rare species habitat.
there's enough of a limited project that will have any adverse
Look at
effect
4.6.
on rare
Okay,
species
so it's-
habitat sites.
It's Heritage and Endangered Species Program. Natural Heritage and Endangered Species Program.
Mass
All right.
Wildlife.
So here.
Wait a minute. And I gotta put
Yeah,
that
there you go.
Endangered species
Program.
Caught you napping those.
So are we repeating that?
Program.
4.6?
I know, poor Roger.
What's the matter? You fell asleep over there?
Oh, I might have.
Do you want- Do you want a copy of this?
I
You
can-
can go along with this.
Follow
I
along.
got this, okay. I'll do the other, leave this the way
You
it is,
just closed
thanks.
your eyes so you could hear better.
That's right, I was concentrating.
Right.
We won't tell, just the story on the
Meditating.
tape might give you away.
Okay, so, person, where do you see, rare species, the term rare species shall
4.6.
include, without limitation, all, no, this is,
I agree with this page.
Okay.
This is, because this is
Yeah.
talking about the habitat sites.
Yes.
Oh, this is the actual, what a rare species is,
Right.
so that's okay.
Sissies.
Okay, by the Master's Vision Fund, okay.
Oh, you have Carolyn, tell me.
Okay.
Yeah, I
that's
didn't know
good.
this was happening there.
Yep, that's good, okay.
Cut it.
Yep.
Person, boilerplate. You want me to read that paragraph?
Yeah, I read that.
Rare species, boilerplate.
Oh, wait a minute,
Yeah,
so
that's what I was
does this
Affect B.
not affect B, but reiterate B? The term rare species shall include without limitation all vertebrate and invertebrate animals, all plant species listed as endangered, threatened, and of special concern by the Massachusetts Division, as we it's like two sentences down, we just spent all that time looking it up.
Division.
Massachusetts Division of Fisheries and Wildlife, regardless of whether the site in which such species occur have been previously identified. So actually, those two contradict each other now.
No, because the other one is
Rare
the
species
sites.
habitat.
The habitat sites that are identified by the program. And then this is talking about what the rare species
And
are
rare
that
species.
are in those, that could be in
So one
those
sites
sites.
and one is.
Regardless of whether the site
Right.
in which the species has been previously identified.
Yeah, that's added in there, and that's good, because you look at it, we have our maps, as you know,
Right,
where the
so-
sites are, but we find a diamondback rattlesnake on some project in West
Right,
Berlin.
and it's not identified yet, it's still,
It's still,
protected.
okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Section 5, protected wetland resource areas and adjacent lands. Again, this is all boilerplate, but I'll
boilerplate.
read it if you want.
Yeah.
Adjacent
No.
protected lands, blah, 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 but here's down, 5(1)C is the biggie, you know. The commission shall presume that the 35 feet of the adjacent protected land from the boundary of the wetland resource areas is significant to the protection of the wetland resource area and its values, to mitigate proposed activities, and to provide wildlife habitat, and the commission shall require a 35-foot undisturbed zone of natural indigenous vegetation from the boundary of the wetland resource area. This presumption may be overcome only by presentation of clear and convincing evidence that such a zone is not significant. Bank and beach. A bank and beach shall mean a land area that normally abuts and confines a water body, the lower boundary being the mean annual low flow level, and the upper boundary being the first observable break in the slope, or the mean annual high water line, whichever is higher. A bank may be partially or totally vegetated, or it may be composed of exposed soil, gravel, or stone. An inland beach is a bank that is not vegetated. And we go to, here's another one that's important in here, freshwater wetlands. Freshwater wetlands shall mean wetlands that may border another water body, but may equally not be connected by surface water to any other water body or wetland. And that's the definition of a isolated wetland. A freshwater wetland is an area where the soil's hydrology and/or vegetation meet the criteria of the Act. The type of freshwater wetland bogs, the types of freshwater wetland bogs, marshes.
Wetlands are bugs.
Okay. Freshwater wetlands are bogs, marshes, wet meadows, and swamps, as those are defined in the Act. Areas where groundwater, flowing or standing surface water, or ice provide a significant part of the supporting substrate for the plant community. Emergent and aquatic plant communities in inland waters, and that portion of any bank that touches any inland waters.
Carol,
Yeah.
they missed a couple of quotation marks in Act on 5.3, four lines
Okay.
down.
Where,
Just
on all the actions, what you're saying? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, all the acts are under, with quotation marks except for one.
Right, so soils,
said-
hydrology, and vegetation, yep.
Land subject to flooding?
Bordering and isolated. A bordering land subject to flooding and an isolated land subject to flooding shall mean the same as defined in the Act. 5.5, land under water bodies and waterways. A land under water bodies and waterways shall mean the same as defined in the
So
Act.
that's,
So 5.5 belongs, it wasn't,
it should have been,
it's its own paragraph.
Yeah,
Right.
okay.
Oh,
I
yeah.
see.
And it needs to be bolded,
Yeah.
5.5 land
That's-
under
yeah,
water
okay.
bodies and
Yeah,
waterways.
and land, yeah, okay.
It just needs to be its own.
so, never mind, go ahead.
Okay, so we should be here.
Yep.
Land under water bodies and waterways.
Pond. Are we through it?
Yeah.
5.4 and 5.5?
Yep.
Okay, pond. Pond or lake shall follow the definition of 310 Code of Massachusetts Regulations 10.04. A pond under this bylaw shall meet a minimum threshold of 10,000 square feet.
Yeah, that's a larger area than is in the, or that's a smaller area, I mean, than is in the Wetlands Act.
Yes?
Do you happen to recall what that area is in
I
the Wetlands
don't.
Act?
I don't.
It's also not just defined as square feet, it's square, because it's depth and
So
surface.
that would be cubic.
That'd be volume.
Yeah, but
Girth.
I wish I had, I wish I had brought my, it's funny, because I was looking at it today, too.
Anyway, we'll leave it to 10,000.
Okay.
But square surface feet, square cubic feet, square feet of volume.
Surface.
Surface, square feet is
The way it's
surface.
worded is square surface.
Right,
it's
and is
square
that what we're intending?
Yeah.
Okay. Just clarifying.
River or stream?
Well, this 5.7, 5.9 need to be reworded and combined.
Yeah.
So let's just skip that one, because that one takes more work than,
Should they be combined or separated? Now that I'm looking at it, does it even make sense under river to have it as intermittent if we're gonna have the different distances?
right, maybe should 5.7 be river.
And then 5.9
5.7
is stream where you
Could be,
could-
no, intermittent.
Well, stream and have the definition between perennial and intermittent there.
Yeah.
Or the distinctions.
Something. Anyway,
Right,
that,
so
somebody's
5.7,
going to have to take some time to do that, but in interest of time,
Yeah.
I would say somebody needs to, like Walter needs to reword that whole thing, and then we'll get back to it by email.
Carol, can I work with you on that? And then what we can do is just copy everybody on it and look at it when we copy you and get
Make
back
sure
with
you
comments.
copy
And
all
if
of
everybody
us.
agrees, we'll have it. Well, I copied the important.
I just saw this for the first time today.
5.8, Seep and Spring, go ahead, Walter.
That's fine.
Seep and springs. A seep in a spring shall mean an area where groundwater comes to the surface and adjacent soils remain wet seasonally or year-round. A seep may be an area from several feet to 50 or more feet across that is wet and soggy and may melt snow so as to provide vital feeding areas for wildlife during the winter. A spring is a small pool with standing water that flows throughout most of the year. The essential characteristics of both seep and spring is groundwater seeping or flowing to the surface. This just brings up something. This here explains more, like this business is good for wildlife, which I like, but I've read bylaws that go into everything, the values, the reasons for it, and just like this, it would, I've read a definition of a seep, be a whole page long, how it's important to wildlife and everything else.
Well,
but you
have
can
that
get right away,
information maybe at the time.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Vernal pool, 510 vernal pool, shall mean any confined basin or depression, whether inside or unconnected to any freshwater wetland that at least in most years, holds water for a minimum of 2 continuous months during the spring or summer and is free of naturally occurring adult predatory fish populations. Yeah, I mean, you could expand that too to say, well, you gotta look at egg masses and all this other stuff, but the burden is to prove, that it isn't one, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at least in most years, what does that
Yeah,
say?
what does that mean?
I would think it means that like in a drought year,
Right.
if it didn't, you know.
So should we change that to excluding drought years? As
No, I think
opposed
it's reasonable the way it is.
It's all right
Well, I
the
don't
way
know,
it
I mean,
Right.
I think saying that in most years, you know, is reasonable.
A vernal pool shall be a wetland resource area under this bylaw regardless of whether the site has been certified by the Mass Division of Fisheries and Wildlife. The commission shall presume that all areas meeting the definition of vernal pool and adjacent protected land under this bylaw perform essential habitat functions. This presumption may be overcome by a presentation of clear and convincing evidence that, in the judgment of the commission, demonstrates that the basin or depression and surrounding adjacent land, and someone else is gonna have to take over. I only went to 7 because nothing else was changed in it, so whatever. I don't have that full
Oh, I
copy.
have page 8. Oh,
Okay.
You would have it too, if you had a copy of it.
Page 8, yeah.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Does not and cannot provide essential vernal pool habitat functions.
Period, capital P provided.
Okay, but that's not a complete sentence, we're divided, whatever that said. Oh, no, that's okay. All right.
However, that said presumption shall not apply to a confined basin or depression occurring in a lawn, a garden, landscape, driveway, cultivated field, or open grazed meadow that legally existed at the time of the adoption of the law. So that would exclude a lot of the things that people would be screaming about.
We got a period after provided, right?
Before.
Before.
Before provided, okay.
Which provided? We've got provided everywhere.
At the very top
Right
sentence.
there.
Well, see, my pages are
A
different.
period
The way that
after-
kind of reads, though, is that after the law was adopted, that, you know, if there was a depression in your garden, that it could be, I mean, that's the way I read that, is that, to me, this should be that it's excluding those kind of things.
No, if it existed at the time of the bylaw, it existed.
Grandfathered.
It's grandfathered in.
No, the point being that, like, your lawn, you have a new construction, your lawn settles a bit,
mine says.
and there's a puddle in it,
Yeah,
and the house
Oh.
was built in 2021.
yeah, you don't want people worrying that, you know, because that's a new depression, that they're all,
Because we went
you know,
back
we're gonna call
earlier.
them out and say that's a vernal pool or something, you know?
Right, except that it's only a vernal pool under the definitions of a vernal pool in the Act. Right?
I think somebody could challenge that and be concerned that every little dip in their driveway is gonna be
Which is what happened.
considered.
So we need to,
Just strike legally, that
Yeah.
legally since at the time of the adoption of this
Yeah.
bylaw, or just,
Yeah,
provided, however, that said presumption shall not apply to a confined basin or depression occurring in a lawn, garden, landscaped area, driveway. Well, but we also don't want someone putting a garden around a vernal pool and saying, oh, it's in the middle of my garden.
it's not gonna happen though.
They can't.
yeah, I mean, in theory, if they were building a new house, we would have already vetted that stuff.
Right.
So we're just taking out that.
Take out legally?
Yeah.
That legally existed at the time.
Okay, so we're just talking about.
So we're taking,
That said presumption shall not apply to.
Just here, legally.
Yeah, that legally existed.
Any formal evaluation of a vernal pool and adjacent protected land must be performed by an individual who meets certain qualifications as determined by the commission and based upon generally accepted scientific principles and methods. Section 6, request,
That sounds a little like we could just pick anybody out of the air, like, and this doesn't
Right,
sound,
so let's tighten that up.
yeah.
Could be
Any,
Pat Gard.
Well, we meet.
by a certified wetlands biologist,
Where are you
but,
gonna find that person?
well, Scott Goddard.
Well, how about, instead of the individual, according to the state guidelines of vernal pool certification?
Well, you know, John, this might be what we were talking about earlier. We define this in the regulations,
Yeah, we could do that too.
you know? So that's a chance we can do that.
So
So this is
take
the
that-
bylaw, and leave it as it is, but define the certain qualifications in,
So what you're saying is just scratch C and we'll deal with it later.
I would scratch it, because it sounds willy-nilly to me.
okay?
I knew
Or
Willie
either scratch it or
He was
type
actually
it
a
out.
nice guy.
What's that?
Willy Vanilli.
That's all the
Do we need it in there? And then
All
so
the
C, get rid of it?
Yeah,
All the seagulls, wow.
All right, we're taking it out.
Yes, it's gone.
Okay.
Gone.
I don't feel bad because I didn't write that. Such and sister. Request for bylaw determination of applicability and resource delineation information. Application for the bylaw wetlands permit fees consultant. That's what this is about. It's all boilerplate, but I'll read it if you want. Request,
If you're getting tired, I can read it.
okay, go ahead, please.
Request for bylaw determination of applicability. Any person desiring to know whether a proposed activity or an area is subject to this bylaw may request in writing, that should be reversed. A determination from the commission. Such a request for bylaw determination shall include information and plans as the commission deems necessary. Any request for a continuance of a hearing on a request for bylaw determination of applicability by the applicant will reset the timeframe within which the commission must make a determination to commence on the date of the continuance, whatever. 6.2, request for resource delineation confirmation. Any person desiring to know the accuracy of a delineation of a wetland resource area protected under this bylaw, and if appropriate, the extent of the adjacent protected land may in writing request a confirmation of the delineation from the commission. Such a request for a bylaw confirmation shall include information, plan, and fees that the commission deems necessary. Yeah, I don't,
so what are the fees?
that's a good question.
Case Pat Garner has to walk it.
But we don't need a bylaw for that. We can
We already
already,
have that.
that's already part of the Massachusetts general laws. I don't know which part, but we can pass on that fee to the applicant. That's already there.
So scratch it.
So such a request for bylaw confirmation shall include information.
Well, let me ask you
As
this.
the commission deems necessary.
If somebody
Yeah.
comes in with a plan to build something, and it has a vernal pool there, then we're required to go out. We don't have to go out, I have a vernal pool in my yard, write you a letter, want you to come down, verify it, and look at it. You're gonna do it? No. I should hire my own agent to go and do it, a private agent. If it's connected with a notice of intent, yeah, we'll go and look at it.
I think, the way I read this, other than the fees part, is, especially at the beginning, people are going to not really understand what, I mean, we have people come in here often and say, I want to build this, what are the parameters of the Wetlands Protection Act? And we help them understand what it is.
Mhm.
This, to me, is that same exercise, just as it pertains to the bylaw.
If it is, you want to change it, or what?
So, I think, let me clarify, let me change that a little bit. The first part, I believe, is, people coming in and saying, hey, what the heck? The request for delineation confirmation, we can't do that. We're not, we don't even own an auger.
Right.
So, yes, I think that whole 6.2 should be scratched. We can't delineate, but we can, at the top part about advising people about how their project may or may not be subject to the bylaw.
All right, the next one. So just generally, we're now talking about developing our own permit forms. And, you know, so my question with this part was, you know, why don't we just rely on the DEP forms? Because, you know, this really does ramp up the workload. Sort of, you know, maintaining forms and, you
Yeah.
know.
Can we just specify in like a supplemental order of conditions, anything that pertains to this?
Well, there is that aspect of it. There is a paragraph in the order of conditions that findings under municipal wetlands bylaws ordinance. Is a municipal wetlands bylaws ordinance applicable, yes or no? The block commission finds cannot be conditioned, or that the commission orders that all work be performed in accordance with the following conditions and the notes of intent referencing above. So, I mean, there is a
Yeah.
page for that. It's just that, you know, when I read that part, I was like, oh, boy. Like, how are we really going to, given our current resources, you know?
Wouldn't it, so why does the bylaw have to be a whole separate permitting process from,
I don't know, but that's what this applies.
right, I don't,
Well, it gets more complicated than that, because the thing is, because I was reading this in the MAC handbook, that an applicant may meet criteria for the Wetlands Protection Act, but not for our bylaw. And so and if they appeal to the Superior Court, not the DEP, if it's our bylaw, and our bylaw exceeds the
Act.
The-
Wetlands Protection Act
right.
requirements. So there is this possibility of having two separate processes and two separate trails of paperwork. And potentially even having two separate hearings, or closing hearings on separate days. It can get really messy.
Yeah, that sounds like a pain.
Right now, for instance, we could just leave this the way it is under 6.3 and see what the lawyers, we could bring it up with the lawyers later, then maybe change it later under the auspices of the work the lawyers do. I just, like, when I read this, I was like,
Oh, boy, yeah.
Yeah, that to me sounds like it needs to come out unless we're planning on a whole permitting process.
This, this timeframe, John, you have to have it in Monday.
Monday.
They want it in early because I assume they want town council to go through all these articles before they go on.
Right.
that's one of the reasons.
So that would be a place where this could,
So we could leave it and see and take it up with the lawyers later.
Yeah.
But I gotta tell you, that part made me queasy.
Yeah, because that sounds
Not
like
because
there's a
of
whole separate.
the applicant's problem,
Right.
but because of our problem.
Yeah,
Right, who's gonna do it?
yeah.
Who, you know, if we had an agent, and maybe this is the part that Dave was talking about before, that if we have this part, we gotta look at hiring an agent, at least
Well, it's not,
part-time.
but it's not just this part, because all of a sudden if you're triggering stuff at 200 feet, or, you know, or not 100 feet, or whatever, then there's more prep work to do.
Yeah, I would think that we should get rid of this and just outline any conditions as like a supplemental.
Right, well, my suggestion for tonight is to leave it be.
Yeah.
And let the lawyers tell us what to do, or have to converse with the lawyers, at
But
least.
the trouble is, if the lawyers say that we should leave it in, then we have to
Do it.
do it.
Yeah, then alter
that's-
it later. I just don't know, I don't know what to make of this. I just don't know what to make of this.
Yeah, for a small volunteer-based board like this, that's a beast.
Would
It's
this
the
be in
beast.
addition to an NOI?
No, it's in addition to an OOC,
Yeah,
theoretically.
yeah.
So we already have an OOC in place.
Right, which is nice, but this
Yeah.
would, again, this would be the OOC like, we could, theoretically, we could fold it in there, and that's where I need to would want to talk to the lawyers about it.
Right, because if
There is a page in the OC, the DEP form, Form 5 that will allow us to fold that in there. Maybe that could be under regulations later.
right, but if someone's project falls under this but doesn't require them to file an NOI,
They do need a permit. Now, you might be able to cover it with Form 5, and we might be able to deal with it under regulations later. And as it turns, again, based on what I was reading, if they pass the bylaw, we don't have to run the town meeting doesn't have to vote on the regulations. We have to vote on the regulations, as long as they follow the bylaw.
How is it that they could qualify for the bylaw but not for, like, not need an NOI?
Oh, no, no. This
Right.
is like more strict than the
That's what I
Wetlands
thought.
Protection Act. So
Okay, all right, I must have
Right.
misunderstood what you
You had it
said.
backwards, yeah.
But why can't we use the NOI form,
The OC form.
the OC form? Okay.
I
well,
think
any
we
of-
can.
Any of the forms, the state forms, why can't we just use those as?
We can as long as we
An order
have
of-
regulations.
An order of conditions is the final paperwork. The NOI
Is the
is the
starting
permit,
point,
is
right.
the asking for the permit.
Request for permit.
Correct.
The OC is
The actual
permit.
permit.
Yeah.
Right. So
There
the
is-
NOI would also, all of the bylaw regulations, when they file an NOI, all of the bylaw regulations also are part of their project. I don't feel like I'm phrasing my question well,
No,
but.
I'm starting to
I
lean
agree
towards
with-
Robin that we should strike this and then deal with it later under regulations.
Yeah, I think that's too much for us to take on.
What if you, it's wetlands permit. Why isn't it just an NOI? You want to do anything that impacts a wetlands.
Well, it's not the NOI, it's an addition to the OC.
But why does that have to be an addition? I don't understand why it's not just the OOC.
Because
Because the way it's
I
it's
did a
written here
project
is
in
that
Weston
this is
where
a
we had
permit.
the
We're
order
issuing a
conditions
separate
and we
permit.
had
But why
like
don't we?
a supplementary, like a supplemental piece, and I don't remember if they had a bylaw or.
Oh, I'm
what-
sure Weston has bylaws.
Yeah, so, yeah, that's the thing. I mean, that may be
I know,
one way to
Michelle.
look at.
No, but the thing is, a lot of towns have, what they do is, they leave a lot of this stuff to the regulations. So this is Bolton's,
The regulation is why they're not just the same, why don't they're not part of the same.
because it's easier, frankly.
Yeah.
So Bolton's wetlands bylaw is, if you notice, is a lot briefer.
This is what I want.
Not too late.
I know, but it's what I've always
And then
wanted.
their regulations are about 20 pages. So, but we don't have time for that right now. So,
Will the regulations have to be voted on at the same time?
no.
Okay.
So if the town passes the bylaw,
Yep.
the commission can pass the regulations
As long as they,
they comply with the bylaw. So,
In piecemeal.
piecemeal. Yeah.
So why don't we just copy that? Bolton's.
I don't know. I'm gonna have a seizure if you ask me.
yeah, no, I say we strike the whole permit
Yeah,
part.
let's, I agree if it's that difficult to.
All right, we'll strike it for now. And I
So
also
we're going
suggest,
from, are you striking just 6.3
6.2
Well, I
is
also-
gone, too. 6.2 is gone.
and 6.4? 6.2, 6.3, 6.4.
yeah, I don't think, let's not deal with fees right now. That's also gonna just raise people's hackles that we have fees on top of
Yep.
Right.
fees.
So it's just 6.1.
Yep,
And then, well, we have a
And then we have
6.5.
yeah. Another fee.
Two. That's the consultant fee.
It's another fee.
But this we might want to keep this.
Yeah, I agree.
Which, what?
6.5,
Being able to charge them the.
correct.
But we already can.
Already changed.
Doesn't hurt to have that again.
It doesn't hurt to have it
doesn't hurt
again.
to have it.
That's
again.
like the
Yep.
last time when they didn't want to make the changes until, I think it was the one on River Road. He
Yes.
wanted to wait and get the other feedback, which could potentially get, it would cause it to need to be reviewed twice.
Right.
And so
Right.
if we had to eat that, you know, they could say, oh, no, I want to wait and, you know. then-
Right,
All right, so we'll leave 6.5 the entirety, and then let the lawyers
Yeah.
go to
Right.
town on that one.
yep.
All right, so can we move on to administrative hearing process?
Well, wait, we have, oh, I see,
Yeah,
yep,
the whole-
yes,
yeah.
sorry.
Can we?
Yes.
All right, 7.1, notice of filing, a butter is a person filing an application for determination, resource delineation, or wetlands permit. Under this bylaw shall, at the same time, give written notice thereof by certified mail to all abutters at their mailing addresses shown on the most recent applicable tax list, assessors including owners of land directly opposite on any public, blah, 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 and abutters to the abutters within 300 feet of the property line of the proposed activity, including any and another municipal, go ahead.
Isn't it 400 feet for an NOI?
It's 100 feet.
Oh,
No, it's like,
It's
But
100 feet.
there is a thing about 300 feet, because I once got a butter's letter, and it
Our
was.
website said
across-
400 feet, and
Okay.
it was based on no law. The law is 100 feet.
so.
So now MAC recommends, MACC recommends 300 feet, and they specifically state instead of 100 feet,
Okay.
which is, so the 100 feet is the Wetlands Protection Act standard. So the question is, do we want more than 100 feet? Now, personally, I don't see why it has to be more than 100 feet.
Because sometimes, so it's a butter, so it's property, I'm just kind of,
well, it gets all the butters, number one, but if it's another butter within 100 feet that doesn't abut it, then they can come too, but you start reaching out 300 feet.
Well, it also, it's all certified mail, and it does add up. And
Right.
if you're some guy putting in a new septic plan, it's a lot of money.
all right.
Yep.
So 100?
I-
200?
Yeah.
We could
100.
compromise with
Split the
200,
bit-
or we could
split
just
the
go with the
difference?
Wetlands Protection Act, you know.
Yeah. Go with 100.
Just stick with the Wetlands Protection Act?
Yeah.
Okay.
That way, if somebody questions that, we say, hey, that's what the law is.
Okay.
That's not our doing.
All right.
Okay, so
Notice to abutters.
The notice of butters shall have an enclosed copy of the application with plans, or shall state where the butters may examine and obtain copies. I think
Go
that's
ahead,
good.
yep.
When a person requesting a determination is other than the owner, the applicant shall send a copy of the request and plan to the owner. Whatever, that's not our fault. An affidavit of the person providing such notice with a copy of the notice mailed or delivered shall be filed with the commission. The commission shall not open a public hearing until the commission has received such proof of notice. That's already what we do.
Somewhere in here, there should be that the applicant places the ad.
That comes later. That's
Okay.
notice of hearing, that's 7.2. B, other municipal boards and commissions, any person filing applications with or seeking approvals from any other municipal boards, commissions for projects or activities that include or reasonably may include any areas subject to protection under this bylaw shall provide written notice to the Conservation Commission concurrent with the submittal of any such applications or requests for approval.
Subjection.
Any person filing an application for determination, confirmation of resource delineation, or wetlands permit pursuant to this bylaw shall provide
Scratch
a...
confirmation,
Where are you?
didn't we just scratch
Yeah.
confirmation of
Yeah.
resource delineation?
Provide a
It's just
copy
a-
thereof at
yeah.
the same time by certified mail, return.
Also
And a
the
wetlands permit?
Yep, yep.
Do we have to have them do that?
What?
So it
Shall
said
provide a
certified mail to
copy.
like the zoning board and stuff? I mean, presumably, if they've gotten to this point, the zoning board's already aware.
I don't know. Do they have to for other filings for us? I don't think so,
Just if
right?
it's wetlands involved.
So if someone's filing an NOI with us, they have to tell the ZBA that they're filing an NOI with us?
No, the ZBA, I mean, they already know. The ZBA already knows. If anything comes before us, I don't know if the zoning board knows. I'm sorry. The inspector's office certainly knows.
Correct.
Yeah. Well, this gets back to that form. I just don't know, I mean, it says, like, for instance, the commission shall not take final action until the boards and officials have had 14 days from receipt of notice to file written comments and recommendations. This is a level of, this is more like something that would occur maybe in a city.
Correct.
I think we could strike this one,
All of
The
the,
whole,
the whole B. I just don't think it's necessary in Berlin.
I agree.
Okay, all of B.
We're getting to your smaller document like you
Yeah.
wanted to keep doing this.
Yes.
7.2, notice of hearing. The commission shall conduct a public hearing on any application for the determination wetlands resource area delineation of wetlands permitted under this bylaw. The commission shall give written notice at the expense of the applicant at least 5 business days before the hearing in a newspaper of general circulation. Right, no, that's,
That wording.
yeah, yeah, no, so I caught that too. So it's the applicant shall give written notice at the expense of the applicant, at least 5 business days before the hearing.
Okay, so
That's what we currently do.
Correct. Right, the applicant.
If we hire an agent, then the agent could do it, 'cause, you know, but
Yep.
We're not there.
we're not there.
What's the difference then, because other towns do file the conservation hearing, right? But they have
That,
an
because
agent.
it makes it tighter,
Right,
but we don't have anybody to run around the newspapers unless they
Right.
volunteer you.
right.
Right, the applicant shall give
You're
written,
nodding.
shall give written notice at their expense.
At the
No,
expense of the
it's just
applicant.
that if you're looking.
Well,
at
that's
other
repeating the
towns
same-
do it, right?
That's what I'm saying.
Different wording, same thing, different wording.
The applicant shall give written notice at their expense,
okay, so
it's less clear.
can I just
which is less clear.
back up? The whole first sentence has to be knocked up, or did you already do that when I was on
commission shall
something else?
conduct
Because we're not
public
doing
hearing.
wetlands resource
Yeah.
delineations or wetlands permitting, right? So that goes away?
Shall conduct a public hearing on any application
For
under
determination.
this bylaw.
Under this bylaw.
Application,
For the application under this bylaw. So this all goes away.
The applicant shall give written notice.
At their own expense. I agree. It's the shall give written notice.
right, let's get rid of that. Let me go. Findings read hearing.
The applicant shall give written notice.
Shall publish in newspaper of general circulation, written notice at their expense at least 5 business days before the hearing.
I can always
So
check.
it says in a newspaper of general circulation. of the
Right,
town.
that's what I'm
You-
saying.
you
So
just rewording it.
the applicant shall give written notice in a newspaper of general circulation in the town of Berlin at their expense at least 5 business days before the hearing.
Yeah. That is already the wetland
Yeah.
protection,
That's right, okay.
so.
Did you
But
get
we're
that?
restating it because of this bylaw.
I'm reading
Okay,
that.
okay.
Nobody's responsible.
Yeah, the problem with that is if they post in the item, they have to post much more than, or much earlier than 5 days. It has to be in by the Tuesday.
Right.
But that's a requirement of the paper. The
Right.
law,
Yeah.
Is
The
going
law
to
is
be
fine.
5,
That's
right.
their problem to figure out when the paper's
Yeah.
published, you know, they can do it in the telegram. you know,
Right.
They had to.
Which apparently owns the item, by the way.
They
Yeah,
do, but the
yeah.
item, you have to have it in
Written
by
notice.
Tuesday of the
Yeah.
week
in a newspaper, so this written
before,
notice goes to here,
like a week and a half before you're going to have the hearing.
where we're cut and paste.
All right,
Hold on, she's still working on
Okay,
the
I can
sentence.
do it.
Go ahead.
hearing process, the commission in an appropriate case may combine its hearing under this bylaw with a hearing conducted under the Wetlands Protection Act. See, that's what I was talking about. I'm just not gonna deal with that right now.
Do we want to take appropriate case out, though? That makes it sound like we may do it sometimes and not others, which
Commission.
we would do it all the time, I would think.
Yeah.
The commission will
Will.
combine.
Yeah.
Good idea.
May combine, will combine.
Yeah, take out those.
What? It's just one.
The commission will combine, just get rid of all that. Unless yours is different.
So in
There
appropriate
are
case, we
cases
don't
where
want
the
that?
Wetlands
No.
Project
Correct.
wouldn't
Get rid of
apply. So you might want to add out, so I see why that was put in there. So you could also say, the commission will combine its hearing under this bylaw with the hearing conducted under the Wetlands Protection Act if the act applies.
You want
Because that could happen.
So that's what you were saying, that was my question earlier.
Right.
When would the Wetlands Protection Act not apply, but the bylaw would? I thought this was in addition, that's what I don't
On
understand.
top of it, makes it more restrictive.
But.
So if
isn't it
something,
always
if
applied?
something falls in between something that's allowed under the Wetlands Protection Act,
Oh,
but
gotcha, okay,
not
gotcha.
allowed under this, yeah.
I gotcha, it's late.
But what, let's,
Do
So we
you
can just
wanna
leave
add
the
that?
sentence the way it
Leave it
is.
as, okay.
Yeah.
We just leave it the way it is, unless she's already changed it. A, commencement of hearing, the commission shall commence the public hearing within 21 days from receipt of a complete application unless the applicant authorizes an extension in writing. Do they have to do it in writing? Does anyone know, according to the Wetlands Protection Act?
it's probably,
All right. Continuance of hearing, the commission shall, with the consent of the applicant, have authority to continue the hearing to a specific date announced at the hearing for reasons stated at the hearing, which may include the need for additional information from the applicant or others deemed necessary by the commission or in its discretion based on comments and recommendations of the board of blah, 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 blah.
right.
This is a little frustrating because you could just follow the Wetlands Protection Act. Anyway, 7.4, issuance of decision. The commission, when appropriate, may combine decision issued under this bylaw with the order of conditions, order of resource area delineation, or determination of applicability issued in the act. In all permit decisions, the commission shall make written findings and reasons as provided in section 7.4B of this bylaw.
We crossed out 7.1B. Under 7.3B, we refer to 7.1B. We crossed that out, so.
7.4B.
No,
You're talking just above, right?
Just above. She's in
7.3B, yeah.
7.3B, very last
References
part of it.
7.1B.
So, what do we want
We
to do
got
with
rid
that
of-
sentence? 7.3B.
Did you cross out the whole thing, or just the reference to 7.1B?
Where are you seeing 7? Oh, right.
Yeah.
Right.
So, what do we want to cross out? Based on comments and
7.1
recommendations of
No,
the board
this
and
here.
officials.
B.
Got rid of.
Comes
Oh.
under the words, which is noted. Yeah, we had.
Scratch.
All permit
Based on-
decisions, commission may take written findings and reasons.
Oh, just
Just
delete
scratch that
based
left.
on, yeah.
Noted in section 7.
Others deemed necessary, which may include the need for additional information, period.
Wait a minute,
No, I'm in
Where are we?
7.3B.
Yeah, I know,
Continuance of hearing.
Yeah.
And at the
Right.
end,
I know.
it says,
I
based
know.
on comments.
I would put
I'm
a
ahead
period
of
after
that.
the commission.
right.
Oh,
Which
oh,
may
you're
include the
ahead of
need
that.
for an additional information from the applicant or others deemed necessary by the commission, period.
Period. All that
I
other
don't know
stuff
where you
goes,
are.
Yeah.
right here.
By
Huh?
the commission,
Gymnasium.
period.
By the-
And scratch the rest?
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you. 7.4.
That was an astute observation of period necessity, Robin, thank you.
Wow.
I know, right?
Water, I wish. you
That's
know.
the problem.
7.4, issuance of decision. The commission, when appropriate, may combine the decision issued under this bylaw with the order of conditions, order of resource area delineation, or determination of applicability issued under the act. In all permit decisions, the commission shall make written findings and reasons as provided in section point 4B, point B of this bylaw.
Coming up.
Coming
Okay.
up. Determination of applicability
Almost done.
of resource area delineation. The commission shall issue its determination of applicability or resource delineation decision in writing within 21 days of the close of the public hearing thereon, unless the applicant authorizes in writing an extension. Again, I don't think they have to do it in writing.
And we also are taking out the resource area delineation.
Right.
Okay, so both of those.
So just scratch in writing. It's nice if it's in writing, but they often just will say, that's fine with me. And it's Roger's recording the whole thing. Anyway.
Unless, yeah.
Okay, so determination of applicability only.
I'm so confused, I believe.
So 21
Well,
days
she's
of
got
the
it.
close of the public hearing thereon, unless the applicant authorizes an extension, period.
Got it.
Because that is
Okay.
just the wetland
Right,
protection.
and are we scratching wetland resource delineation?
Yeah.
Shoot.
We can leave it in and just like,
Right,
no one will
because
notice.
sometimes, because,
There's other definitions for resource delineation.
right, especially under an RDA. You know, if you're filing a resource delineation under the act.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Okay,
It's a
leaving
very
it
good
in.
point.
Leave it
Yeah.
in.
Oh,
Yeah.
boy.
Hold on.
Sorry.
Okay, so
Stays in.
So the only thing that's being crossed out
Is in
in
writing.
this are these two words.
So what two words?
In
In writing.
There.
B, so we can take that all out, right?
Unless the
Permit,
applicant
just in
authorizes
writing.
in.
Oh, it
Doing
does.
both
There's
in
two in
writing.
writing,
What about
which
this?
one?
Places.
The
A.
applicant for
Just
bylaw.
second. Both in writings go out
Um,
above, because there's two of them in
No, the
writing.
second one.
Just
Yeah,
Only the second one.
Yeah,
Man.
we gotta put it in writing.
Yeah, that one.
Because the decision will be in writing.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that would, that's
Right.
almost rhetorical.
Right.
B.
So we're taking this
Wait,
one
wait,
out, right?
we're not there yet, Walter.
No.
This A, that last in writing.
Yeah.
Yeah, right here.
So-
Yep. So beta.
So didn't we do
Oh.
away with the bylaw
Uh,
wetlands permit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We also need to take out the reference to 7.4B under 7.4.
If we take out 7.4B, or the whole,
We could just reword bylaw wetlands permit, or change the nature, because essentially, there is a permitting process.
just not an individual permit.
Right, and the thing is, what we're saying is we're going to deal with the permit issues in the regulations. So,
Bylaw, wetlands,
Applicant
what's the word I want?
for a bylaw wetlands permit shall have the burden.
What's the word I want? Where it conforms. Bylaw, wetlands. No, it's not really confirmation.
Conformance, is that what you're trying to say? It's not, you said conform, no? I'm not quite sure what you're trying to say.
I don't know what I want to say. I don't want to say permit because it sounds like a form.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say it follows our, it follows our plan that we're
Right,
saying.
but not confirmation.
Yeah.
Right,
Not acquiesce, it's like, it goes along with it. It doesn't break what we're trying to say here.
You said conform.
Conformity.
Yeah, conforms.
Wetlands conformity no, it's, there's a good.
Wetlands bylaw,
Scribble on yours, not.
Okay, all right. Yikes.
Right, so for the moment, let's use the word conformity. So if this, instead of bylaw, wetlands permit, which is incorrect anyway, wetlands bylaw conformity. The applicant for, the
The app-
applicant shall have the burden of proving
Yeah, that's
clear and
good.
convincing evidence.
yep.
So,
Evidence, period? Stop there?
and no, that
The
the
rest of it,
activities that are subject to the bylaw,
I guess maybe.
By the
it's-
wetlands.
cross out wetlands permit application, are subject to the bylaw,
Wait a minute.
or the land and water uses that will result therefrom will not have significant and cumulative significant effects upon the wetland resource area values protected by this bylaw.
Yeah, I like it.
Okay. All right, so
Really,
can
it's
you
very
read?
little
Right,
change. There's only
except
three words.
we want,
Just said
right,
Conformity instead of.
Get rid of three
permit,
words
then we
and change the
crossed
heading.
off For,
Bylaw wetlands conformity.
so it's gonna be wetlands bylaw conformity.
Okay, but this says bylaw wetlands.
Correct,
To be
and we're gonna change it.
Changing
To
it.
wetlands. We're gonna
Wetlands
reverse.
bylaw conformity. Do we like the word conformity?
For the lack of a better one.
right now.
Good enough for now.
Right. Right, because
At 10
basically, right.
Yeah.
Basically, what we're saying is that they have to prove that they're conforming.
Yep. And then we just cross off for a bylaw.
Right,
Wetlands
so,
permit.
failure for the applicant to provide adequate evidence.
To the commission supporting this burden to avoid or prevent significant or cumulative significant offense upon the wetland resource area value shall be sufficient cause for the commission to deny the action,
To
the activity.
Deny the activity.
Deny the approval?
Activity.
The activity.
The commission shall
Okay.
deny the activity for failure to meet requirements of this bylaw where no conditions are adequate to protect the wetland resource area values. The commission may also deny the activity for failure to submit necessary information and plans requested by the commission and for failure to meet the design specifications, performance standards, blah, blah. If the commission issues a bylaw wetlands,
Where are you? Oh, down here.
Activity.
If
Wait,
the
wait,
commission, yeah. if the
issues,
com- if the-
permits the activity.
Allows.
The commission
If the
issues
commission
a...
issues
No,
bylaw,
if the-
wetlands,
If the commission issues,
if the commission determines bylaw wetlands conformity,
That's all
Ooh.
fine.
Okay, hold on, I gotta,
If the
we gotta get this
commission-
all down, because she's not
Yeah.
here.
if the commission issues,
A wetland,
no, just,
a bylaw wetland?
no A.
approves, if the commission approves a bylaw wetland conformity?
No.
Okay,
If the
here's
commission
Agrees.
agrees, if the activity
Adheres to the bylaw?
adheres
If the,
to the bylaw,
Lots of luck, Carol.
if the applicant approves,
Yeah.
if they are,
you got this all done. You got this one done?
yeah,
No.
Okay.
the
Wait,
activity
okay.
adheres to the
Okay.
wetland.
if,
Are we gonna vote on it? Because
Yeah.
then it should be if the commission approves. If it's a
This
vote.
one here. Change
It's-
this
it's-
to this
It's more
wetland bylaw
passive to say if the
conformity.
activity adheres to the
bylaw,
bylaw. So if we're gonna vote, I'd leave if the commission
approves the activity.
Approves that the activity adheres to the bylaws, wetlands.
If the commission
And then you take out these
The
three words.
wetlands bylaw, why do these keep getting switched?
the activity
Commission approves.
Okay, and then in one, we
adheres
change the permit to the activity, because we're not doing permits.
the,
Deny.
We're almost there, folks.
yep. That one's
Push,
bylaw. The commission shall
The activity.
impose conditions that the commission deems, okay, so.
Can you read
Ready?
that?
Yep.
And then in A,
If the commission approves that the activity adheres to the wetlands bylaw,
Yes.
the commission shall impose conditions
Shall deny
that the commission
the
deems
activity
necessary
given
or
to-
desirable to protect the wetlands resource
Okay.
values, and all activities shall be done in accordance with those conditions.
I love it.
okay, hold on, you got that in writing?
I do.
Okay. Well, actually,
So
it's
now-
not-
Yep.
That means we would issue an
So the commission shall
OOC.
deny
Correct.
the
Yeah,
activity.
with condition, do we need
Failure
to?
meet the requirements of this bylaw.
Protect the wetland and shall be done in accordance. Shall impose conditions through the issuance of an OOC? No.
We know,
Not
we
there.
know they need an OOC. Do we have to
We'll take that up in the
Town.
regulations.
Change, I don't have it now.
confuse the town with the OOC? You know, the town voter with it?
Right.
Okay,
Okay,
so-
ready?
Okay, yes, we're in two.
We're in two.
Okay,
Yep,
yeah.
I don't have this.
If the commission
Mhm.
approves, so you're gonna take out issues A,
Yeah,
and you're gonna
it approves.
approves that the activity adheres to the, and then you're gonna switch bylaw and wetlands.
Adheres to the, okay, the commission approves that the
Wetlands bylaw.
activity adheres To the.
Wetlands bylaw,
Comma.
Switches to.
or we could
Okay,
even
hold
just
on.
write bylaw, but
Wetlands bylaw, oops.
Clearer, maybe.
comma,
And then the rest stays.
and then the rest stays.
All right,
No,
do we
the
also
wetlands
make
permit comes
changes
out.
up here at the beginning of the,
Okay, so if the commission approves that the activity adheres to the wetlands bylaw,
Yeah.
the commission
she
shall
doesn't
impose
have that
conditions
down.
that the commission deems necessary
She
or
was out of the
desirable to
room when we
protect the
were
wetland
discussing
resource
that.
area values, and all activities shall be done in accordance with those conditions.
Yep.
Right, okay.
Good.
Carol, did you get B above
no, she wasn't
wetlands?
here.
The commission may
Yeah,
also.
Yeah.
Steve took notes and.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
commission may also deny the activity for
What a
failure
good
to
team.
submit necessary information. And yeah, okay. So,
good
all right,
beer
so
on
I've
this
got
one.
two.
Indeed.
All right,
Okay.
A, now we're on 2A.
Right.
In establishing those conditions, the commission shall take into account the cumulative adverse effects of loss, degradation, isolation, duplication of protected wetland resource areas, and their adjacent protected land throughout the community and the watershed resulting from past activities permitted.
Okay.
And there's permitted
Yeah,
again.
Yeah.
yeah.
Allowed.
And so what, how does that read if we just say resulting from past activities and foreseeable future
I
activities?
agree with that.
Yeah. Okay. To prevent wetlands loss, the commission shall require applicants to avoid wetland resource area alteration wherever feasible to minimize alteration to adjacent protected land, and where alteration is unavoidable, shall require full mitigation. The commission may require mitigation in a quantity greater than 1:1, depending on the values and functions of the wetland resource impacted. The commission may authorize or require replication of wetland resource areas and adjacent protected land as a form of mitigation, but only with adequate security, professional design, and monitoring to assure long-term success. Security?
Yeah, what
I
does
think
that
that
mean?
means Pat Garner, but security sounds like rent-a-cop.
Oh, see, I would have thought that meant some sort of like physical barrier to prevent, to make sure that they got established without like animals or somebody.
But only with adequate,
Credentials?
what do we call that?
Erosion controls?
I don't know.
Commission may authorize or require replication of the resource
I agree with you, though. It sounds weird.
and adjacent protected.
Adequate mitigation, no, that's.
Security.
Security.
We're on 2B, but I don't like the word, but only with adequate security.
section.
Professional
Protection.
design.
May authorize.
Oh, protection I like better.
Yeah.
Good.
Protection.
Wetland protection?
We should say
Let's
protection.
look at protection.
Only with
Yeah.
adequate protection, professional
Right.
design, and monitoring to assure long-term success. Good enough?
Yep,
Yep.
got it.
Good enough.
I'll keep reading
Any
until
other-
people stop me. Section 8.
Stop.
Any other changes?
Nope.
Oh.
We got rid of that, too.
So,
Oh, yeah, we did change that.
a minor point and a major
Get rid of
point
that.
on section 8. The minor point is, under 8.1, we do not want to be the ones notifying the registry of deeds.
Right.
Correct.
We don't require what?
We do not want to be the ones notifying the registry of deeds.
Again,
Any request for variance?
lack of
Right.
staff.
The major point, though, is that essentially,
Well, there's money involved, too.
we want section 8 to just follow the Wetlands Protection Act. And I don't know if we can just say post-decision process, the Conservation Commission will follow the guidelines of the Wetlands Protection Act here,
Conservation and the applicant.
and the applicant, right, because I, or just,
Scratch it?
or just, yeah, or just take it out.
No, I think,
It would be our regular post-decision process.
Well, interestingly, so there isn't like a part here about the post-decision process that I can
activity
see.
proposed in any request or application shall be undertaken until determination, confirmation of bylaw. Bylaw
think we need to require that they certify in writing or by some means that the document has been recorded. Because
They're
there's-
supposed to do
that
that with
already.
an NOI
Right.
as well. There's a page that's part of the NOI packet that we're supposed to get back
Mhm.
once it's
Okay, 'cause we've
been,
had a couple of situations where the
oh, yeah.
thing was
Yeah.
never, conservation restrictions. were
But that's
never
for
did
us
what it
not
said.
checking, that's not due to this.
Right.
If even with this, they don't do it, they don't do it if we don't catch them. So what are we doing, scratching 8, or what are we doing here?
I don't know what to do with 8, because what I really want to do is just say, you know.
I know, to follow the current rules.
Right, so
Maybe
why
leave that
can't we
one
do
void.
that? And if the lawyers say, no, you have to have words, we have words.
Okay.
So take it out?
So don't delete them, just
Maybe strike through.
move them.
What's that?
Or-
This is all section 8,
Remove section 8?
And,
the post-decision process, all of it?
All of it?
and just say, you could say post-decision process, delete all of it and just say it in one sentence.
Follows,
You know, the Conservation Commission will follow the Wetlands Protection Act laws. and regulations.
Procedures.
Laws and procedures.
And you're saying that
And the
where?
Conservation Commission and the applicant will follow the Wetlands Protection Act.
So the statement goes where that you just said?
Under 8.
8.1.
So there is no 8.1.
It'll
It's
just be
a
8.
sentence.
Yeah, just like not under 9.
There's also
Okay.
the Commonwealth of Massachusetts regulations regarding the Wetlands Protection Act, but I don't know the official numbers behind that.
right, well, the lawyers will,
Yeah.
The CC and the applicant shall follow what?
the CC
The-
and
The laws and
Procedures.
the
regulations.
post-decision procedures in place under the Wetlands Protection Act.
And the Wetlands Protection Regulations. Massachusetts Wetlands Protection
Will
Regulations.
follow the,
That's a whole nother separate document.
Or you'd have to come up with a citation there, whatever, and it's in here someplace.
The lawyers can worry about
They
that.
The
cited it.
applicant and Conservation Commission will follow what?
the
Post-
post-decision
Decision
process
As
as,
defined
as defined, yeah,
under the Wetland
as
Protection
defined
Act.
as, outlined as,
Outlined in,
outlined?
Defined under the
As
Wetlands-
directed by the Wetlands Protection Act.
Okay.
And mass regulations.
And the Massachusetts
Right.
regulations concerning the Wetlands Protection Act.
And so what happens to 8.2?
All goes away.
Gone?
All goes away.
8.3 gone?
Yep.
Yep. That's all right.
That's
Okay, hold on, guys.
By the Wetlands Protection Act and what?
And Massachusetts regulations,
Regarding,
well, the lawyers will clean that part up. They'll put in, they'll citations or whatever, I would imagine, right?
is that, is
So what do you want?
that
Okay.
section 9?
Section 9.
It's pretty straightforward.
Feel from the,
Decision of the conservation of the commission may be appealed to Superior Court in accordance with applicable law.
Yep.
Okay, number 10.
10? Regulations, promulgation by Conservation Commission.
Read it out loud.
After public notice and public hearing, the
louder,
commission.
please.
After public notice and public hearing, the commission shall promulgate rules and regulations to effect the purposes of this bylaw, effective when voted by the commission and filed with the town clerk. Failure by the commission to promulgate such rules and regulations or a legal declaration of their invalidity by a court of law shall not act to suspend or invalidate the effect of this bylaw. At a minimum. These regulations shall define essential terms in this bylaw, not inconsistent with the bylaw, types of limited projects, and the performance standards for each, and procedures governing the amount of filing fees.
Wow. Well, we didn't require any filing fees, so that has to be, and
Right.
procedures.
Yep, for each and.
Just and procedures.
Period.
Period.
Good? Go
Okay.
on?
Yeah, I think this
Yeah.
next section, security, is what we were talking
Oh,
about. That's
okay.
what it, so we should go back
Interesting.
and that's what they were referring to.
Referring to, okay.
So leave
Part-
security.
Well, what does it
Let's see what it
say?
says. Section 11, security, as part of a permit
Wait a
issued
minute,
under
get rid of
this
permits.
bylaw.
Yeah.
In addition to any security required by any other municipal or state board, agency, or official, the commission may require that the performance and observance of the conditions imposed under there's that permit word.
Right, well, we're
Under the bylaw.
not even sure we're keeping this, so.
Under the bylaw, maybe, including conditions requiring mitigation work be secured in whole or in part by one or more of the methods described below. 11.1, financial assurance mechanisms by a proper bond or deposit of
Right,
money.
so we're not gonna make anybody
negotiable
bond.
Securities or
So-
other undertaking of financial
Unless it's a big
responsibility
project.
that is
Yeah,
sufficient.
you might want to leave that in there just in case.
In the opinion of the commission, to assure compliance and proper completion of the work as conditioned, the commission shall release such financial assurance in whole or in part upon issuance of a certificate of compliance for work performed pursuant to the permit. Missing a period. Restrictions on property. By accepting a conservation restriction, easement, or other covenant enforceable in a court of law, executed and duly recorded by the owner of record, running with the land to the benefit of the town of Berlin, including covenants whereby the permit conditions shall be performed and observed before any lot or interest in land may be conveyed other than by mortgage deed. The commission may only use this method if the applicant consents or take any action relative thereto. Conservation Commission. That's
Yikes,
legalese.
yikes.
I'm lost.
So, right, so first,
Running with the-
So, in the village where I lived, you guys, the town held a bunch of money to show that there wasn't gonna be runoff, that our runoff stuff wasn't gonna impact neighbors, and they finally released it back, like 10 years later. We
Yes,
got
they
it back.
bond.
right.
So that must be this.
So, right, and it does say, if you go back to where we struck security, the commission may authorize or require replication of wetland resource area and adjacent protected land as a form of mitigation, but only with adequate security, professional, so that's, so we're gonna make someone bond?
This to me sounds like something you'd encounter at like a Highland Commons or a
Right.
River Bridge. This is,
Right,
Bigger.
so if we make it,
but that's all the more reason to leave it in here.
Sure.
Because you're going to be dealing with big developers that,
Maybe.
potentially,
potentially.
to prevent wetland loss.
What was that other document you were referring to? Take
Can we
care of
take
this?
care of that in,
Regulations?
Regulations.
and that way we can specify maybe the size of the project?
And you can change it
or-
later. This is gonna be a bylaw voted on and then locked down. The regulations can be tweaked much easier.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, get some of this meat out of here so they don't contest it, get this through, get it passed, and then the regulations can be locked down.
In another document.
Yeah, and then they can.
That we approve.
That we can approve and tweak it, right? 'Cause that doesn't have to go through the same rigmarole, does it?
So how is it that we have that much flexibility though with these regulations?
It's a good question. I don't really understand.
Yeah, I mean, that to me sounds like there's.
Let me
that-
read, sounds like a loophole, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the regulations cannot be stricter than the bylaw. I talked with Pat about this today. If they are, then they're negative.
But if we
They're wrong.
if we were to put something like that in a regulation, that wouldn't, that to me, that's
You guys
stricter
should
than
be
the
reading
bylaw.
security, right?
Yes.
Let me-
Like that.
John has some,
So the MECC suggests this language, security, as part of a permit issued by this bylaw, which is problematic, in addition to any security required by any other municipal or state board agency or official, the Conservation Commission may require that the performance and observance of the condition imposed thereunder including, is this the same
Under
wording?
approval.
Yeah,
or-
that's
yeah.
identical.
Yep, including conditions requiring mitigation work. Right, so really, so we want to leave the ability to have security, but I don't know that the two mechanisms that are in here are Berlin appropriate.
Do we want to leave this one for the lawyers then?
So if we leave the top part, allowing us to have the option to,
Leave it all, let the lawyers scratch it.
but the lawyer, if the lawyers think that we're fine with this, then they're gonna leave it,
They're gonna leave
because
it.
legally it's fine.
Why don't we put it in with a strike through, like strike through that whole section, just leave it in there. So that way it
That'll show
shows-
that we really want it out, but if it needs to be in there, they'll fix it.
Yeah. I think anything that we
Right.
want out, we should just show with a strike through.
That's kind of how they do it. They strike through it and then put their wording to the side.
Yep, exactly.
So that way you keep track of the changes, the before
Yeah.
and after.
Yeah.
So what are we gonna do?
Strike it.
We're talking about striking these two,
Yeah,
but
11-1 and 11-2.
leaving the ability to
Okay.
have some sort of security, mostly for bigger projects.
Okay.
But
Does that mean you gotta go
striking,
back and put the security back in the other areas?
Yeah,
it's just that one.
yeah, that one reference.
Yeah.
And I think we should take that first part of the line off here under section 11, where it says that's part of a permit, just say, in addition to any security, blah, blah, blah.
Okay.
And then conditions opposed,
Okay.
strike out under the permit.
So this goes away.
Okay, so say that again, Robin?
So under the first line, under security, take out,
As part of a
as part of the
permit.
permit, and just do, in addition to any security
it.
required.
Yep.
You wanna leave under this bylaw in there?
No.
No.
In addition
And start
to,
with in.
No, just, yeah, just start with
addition to
in
any
and then take
security,
out
right.
under the
Right.
permit in the third
the
line.
commission may require that the performance and observance of the conditions be imposed, cross out under the permit, including conditions requiring mitigation work be secured in whole or in part.
And we could put a period there and then strike out the rest of that. Just do a strike through.
Yeah, in part.
Yep.
Got it.
With a question to them to say whether we have to define that.
Okay, good. 12 we should be in. That just means that if the document is challenged in court, that only the part that is challenged can be struck and not the entire document.
Right.
Good.
That's common.
So, all
Yep.
right, one more thing.
We all sign this? No.
No, you have to pass that around before we all disappear. That's-
We all sign it.
What is
We all
that?
sign it.
Yes,
It's your
sir.
$125.
Your
You
money.
better damn well sign
Oh,
it.
I don't want to sign this.
One more thing, going
What,
way,
you're gonna
way
fire me?
back to 1.2 authority.
Page,
One,
yeah.
1.2, yep.
So, because an hour ago, we were talking about, just sort of like the relation of this thing relative to the Wetlands Bylaw, and the Wetlands Protection Act. So this is MECC's language that would replace, so would be under 1.2 authority. This bylaw is adopted under the Home Rule Amendment of the Massachusetts Constitution and the Home Rule statutes, independent of the Wetlands Protection Act and regulations thereunder. There's some numbers in there. It is the intention of this bylaw that the purposes, jurisdiction, authority, exemptions, regulations, specifications, standards, and other requirements shall be interpreted and administered as stricter than those under the Wetlands Protection Act and regulations. So that clearly states
Yeah, I
what
like
we're
that
doing.
better.
I like it.
So this will replace 1.2.
Yikes.
Just that little yellow thing, not the whole thing.
Just.
it's just that 3 paragraphs there.
Thank you, Carol.
Yes.
So, and yeah, thank you, Carol, for doing all that computer work.
Well, I don't know if it's,
Perfect.
yeah.
It's all right.
I know it's not, but
Why don't you, if you could then email what you have to Walter, then Walter has to turn that back into something that looks like this.
And still,
Without the highlight.
there's that one section we have. to-
5.7 and 9 need to be,
No, the point being, it has to more look like a warrant You know, so like it just collapsed again.
But we're not, yeah, we're not
Just
done.
this one.
We still need to do 5.7 and 5.9.
Oh, and that too, yeah.
Yeah.
And then, if you guys do that, and then send it to me, and then I can get it to Margaret.
I make a motion that we pay.
No, we already
We already
did
did.
that.
You just have to
did?
sign
Yeah,
it.
I did.
You may have been
What?
copying.
You made a motion to take the money back?
But we didn't vote, oh no, this is the same thing.
Yep.
Okay, never mind, we did vote on these.
Yep.
All right, so
We keeping you
have to
up?
sign the-
Right, well, you just need to sign the top
Keeping me
sheet.
up, too.
Yeah.
Oh.
So,
Look at the overtime you're gonna get.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Us too.
Yeah, wow, yes.
All right, so I guess,
apologize for making you strike that. Security has to go back in,
Oh, we did put that back on?
which is,
Are we doing any of the?
Right, well, let her finish typing that
Took
first.
me a while.
oh, there is one,
What section was it?
so we're done with this, right?
7.4.
It goes to her. So thanks,
2B.
there's one more thing.
One more thing.
We're not gonna get to an executive session, because we're too
Right
tired.
here, with adequate
But-
back, we're putting security.
So we'll talk about that next time
Yeah.
with, because I don't get a sense it's
Adequate.
urgent, this is the Ashley
Say
thing.
adequate
Right.
security,
But Ash-
comma,
yeah.
professional design again.
You want me to leave so you guys can?
No,
No.
Security, okay.
because we're not in executive session.
Oh, that's right.
I'm using coded language. Ixnay on the executive nay. Ashley did ask that the commission assign a person to work with her, to be able to help with her work as a liaison with like the finance committee and all that kind of stuff. So any volunteers.
Oh, I've been working with her right along.
That's what I
on it.
figured. All right, so I'll let her know it's you. Now, the other issues around that Ixnay project we'll discuss next time.
Okay.
So, all right, so we're done. Entertain a
Move to
motion.
adjourn.
Oh, wait a minute, we did not discuss, you have old conservation.
We're gonna hold off on that too. We're done.
Okay.
Yeah.
Stick a fork in
So
him.
there's a motion.
Oh, wait a minute, I would just like to report that Janet Campbell was injured. She fell down
Oh,
the
no.
steps of the church, and so she's been laid up a little, but she thinks she can get back to work next week.
She okay?
Let her, you guys want to, you're not with this, right? So would you communicate with her, because I could have some time next Wednesday to work on
Right.
it. So you want to let her, if she, let me know if she's ready for Wednesday?
Okay,
All right.
we'll do that.
So there's a motion to adjourn the meeting. Is there a second?
Third.
All those in favor?
That's
All right.
like me.